44, a little busy. South 170 bogs down at Ladue. Westbound 44, kind of slow. Vanderbilt Kings Highway, and from Laclede Station out to Elm. Southbound 55, south of Arsenal to Bates. You've got heavy stuff. We got a jam downtown. Eastbound 64, bogs down at Union Station. Jams from the ballpark onto 5570 at Exchange due to the road work. 64 approaching 157 midway up the hill to 159. You've got heavy stuff. Route 3 southbound 8th Street down to Queenie's Jam. Maybe a train crossing there right now. Next update at 5:20 from the Michaels Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
News, traffic, and the latest from the world of sports. This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Guys, welcome into Tuesday here on Redbird Rush Hour. Man, we got a lot to do. We are going to be obviously super baseball intensive now that spring training is getting underway, not only in the Grapefruit League, but in the Cactus League as well. We've got players already throwing bullpens today. And even though the pitchers and catchers haven't reported yet, we got a lot of ground to cover. So obviously I'm here in our St. Louis studios and happy to have our buddy Matt Pauley joining us live from Jupiter with our spring training report.
Now, a St. Louis Cardinals spring training report, sponsored by St. Louis Composting, growing gardens and making memories, and by Happy Roof. We always create happy endings on the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
All right, buddy, Matt Pauley with us. What's the report today, man? It's day one of your time down there.
Yeah, it's really cool to see the facility, the way it's been built out, because I wasn't sure what to expect when we got here. And there's a couple brand new buildings that have been completely built in the last 10, 11 months since we were last here. And it's completely transformed the look of this facility. And I haven't even been into Roger Dean Stadium yet. They did a lot of work in there as well, and that's what fans are going to notice. But it seems like today we got a little bit of a tour. Brian Bartow from the Cardinals took all the media out and showed us all the new snazzy stuff. So it's pretty impressive for sure.
Good. So my understanding, Matt, is that they were just kind of finishing that stuff up here these last couple days.
Oh, it's like, not done.
It's not done. Yeah, they're doing some cleanup. They're still kind of getting things out of the way, which is fine. It's fine. It's a big project. It's going to last for years.
Yeah, it's there's still a lot of people with hard hats walking around doing things, and we knew that they were going to continue working through spring training, and then after spring training got done, they're still working through phase 2. Phase 2 should be all the way done by about the time spring training comes to an end, and then they'll have their final phase with some final stuff to do. But no, I mean, there's big cranes, there's bulldozers, there's all kinds of stuff that's still going on. It still very much feels like an active construction site.
Awesome. Well, that stuff is interesting, and obviously, that's going to be a big part of what helps the team modernize their training skills and the way that players are able to get their work in. And that's all really important, but certainly it's not necessarily the focus of our conversations moving forward, because most of that are just tools and things that are there for the long term. In the short term, it's going to be a lot more interesting, Matt, to just kind of get eyes on players, right? A lot of new faces in the organization. I'm sure there's going to be quite a bit of change on the major league roster just by the nature of this offseason. So we got a lot of new faces to get used to and a lot of interesting questions that go along with those changes.
Yeah. And that's, I think I was asked this by somebody today, like, who am I most looking forward to seeing? And it's not that I'm looking forward to seeing like any one person. It's that there's a ton of new guys in the organization that I've never laid my eyes on. And I'm just interested to see what all of those guys look like. And some of them are going to be competing for big league jobs, and some of them are not going to be. But it has been a stark turnover of this roster and of this organization, really starting at the trade deadline last year. And, a little bit more gas was thrown on that fire during the offseason. But I think it's very interesting how different this organization looks right now.
Well, I mean, look, we can just talk about the pitchers and the catchers, right? The catchers group is the same, but the pitchers are wildly different.
Yeah.
Just look at the projected rotation. We're probably looking at, it won't be any more than 3 guys returning, and it might just be 2.
Yeah, I think McGreevy, Liberator, and May have 3 spots wrapped up in the rotation, barring something crazy happening. I think those 3 guys are in the rotation. And then it's those 4 other guys with Palante and Leahy of the returners, and then Fitz and Dobbins. I think those 4 guys are competing for 2 spots right now. So if it ends up being, say, Dobbins and Fitz, you're right, then the only guys that are back in the rotation from last year would be Liberatore and McGreevy.
Yeah, and the third, obviously, Palante is going to have to earn it. I can't imagine he's automatically anything at this point coming off of a tough year. He's making a fair amount of money, but it's not really the point this year, right? I mean, the point this year is I think most of this stuff is going to have to be earned, whether it's at bats. And I'm not saying earned, for like guys like Walker and Gorman, like in week 1 or 2, right? But I mean, Palante has had a number of seasons of being a big leaguer, and he's coming off a bad year. I think in spring training, he just has to show improvement.
I think he's got to beat guys. I think
that's what I mean. He's got to have better command. He's got to have something to get people to swing and miss every once in a while. And it can't just be like, well, yeah, you get a spot because we're paying you $4 million or whatever.
Right. I guess where I would push back on what you said, I don't think it's actually what you were saying, but it came across to me the way the first time you said it was, well, if he takes a step forward, he automatically has a spot in the rotation. I think there's a scenario where Andre Palante looks better than he looked last year, where a lot of the stuff that he tried to implement actually worked, but he just gets beat by some other guys. I think there's a possibility of that happening. I don't know how high of a possibility that is, but I don't think anybody's going to be handed anything in this rotation.
I would think not, because you have a lot of bodies, right? I mean, you're talking about, and to me, these are the interesting things. Now, first and foremost, before we get into the pitchers and catchers storylines, which I think are fun because we've got a lot of different storylines just with those 2 position groups. We don't have to get to the infield or the outfield yet because they're not really there yet, although I'm sure a bunch of guys are. They're just not there officially yet. Is that when you're thinking about the way it's been in recent years, you've been very short on depth. Like last year, as an example, the guys you hoped could be depth mostly got hurt. and this year, I think there's even more depth to cover that. As opposed to having maybe 2 or 3 depth guys, I think now you have 6.
I would agree with that. And that's what you...
And by that, I mean guys beyond who will be in the major league rotation.
Right. And because we mentioned the 8 guys or 9 guys that I mentioned before, that doesn't even include a Quinn Matthews, an Eshawn Henderson, a Bryson Motts, a Liam Doyle, guys who have an opportunity to maybe be in the big leagues at some point this year.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the thing, right? So in addition to the guys we're just talking about, you mentioned Motts, Henderson. Down the road, maybe it's Doyle, although I think they're going to play it slow with him depending on how he looks. I guess if he's just blowing people away, you can go faster. But I wouldn't imagine they're in any big hurry on that. They want to make sure the mechanics are good. They want to make sure that his pitch refinement is going to be there because we know the stuff is there already. There's no need to worry about any of that. And, hopefully you get something of a healthy year out of Tink Hence. I'll be interested to see if they do decide to work him out of the pen at some point here this year, because it's going to be so long before he could even come close to a major league starting pitching workload. I mean, he still hasn't touched 100 innings yet. I mean, it's getting to the point now where it's almost difficult to see where you can get him built up to 150 innings at any point in the next 3 years.
Yeah, and I think at some point you just need to get something out of him at the big league level. And we know his stuff plays. His stuff is played at the big league level for multiple years. Now, there's some things that he needs to do to clean up so it can play to a level that helps you out. But it plays. He can get big league hitters out. We've watched him in spring get big league hitters out year after year after year. So at what point do you stop going down this avenue of trying to make him a starting pitcher, especially when the organization is so flush with starting pitching right now, more so than they have been certainly in my time covering this team over the last few years. At some point, it makes sense. And look, if you get him to the big leagues and he finds the formula to be healthy out of the bullpen, there's nothing wrong with a year or 2 down the line, letting him come back to spring and let him stretch out, kind of like they're doing right now with Kyle Leahy. But at this point, the number one goal has to be, how do you get him to the big leagues in the quickest manner where he has the opportunity to help the team and that's got to be the bullpen. I don't see any rationale to looking at him as a starting pitcher when he gets to the big leagues.
Well, the Cardinals have a new pitcher in the organization.
They do.
And earlier today. Now, this is not a blockbuster deal, but they traded Andre Granillo to the Nationals, which I'm a little surprised at. But they did get a 26-year-old right-hander, George Soriano, with a big fastball. And he's a guy whose average fastball is almost 96. He'll run it up there to 98, 99 from time to time. But he has had, the last 2 years, zero success at the major league level. Yeah. In 2023, he actually had a nice little run. He threw in 26 games, and he had 52 strikeouts in 52 innings. That was his first major league season. And the last 2 years have just not been very good in terms of production. The strikeouts have been good. He misses bats. I mean, and that's the attraction to him as a big, hard-throwing right-hander, that you might get some ability to get some swing and miss.
Yeah. First off, on Andre Granillo, I mean, they really developed him, and he became a big-time weapon at AAA, and we saw a lot of swing and miss from him. That swing and miss never converted to the big leagues. Yeah. And I have to think that in their analysis of him, they didn't feel like that was going to happen, that there was a ceiling as far as how far he was going to go. He was probably going to be more consistent, not a lot, but a little bit more consistent, just based off his profile than Soriano. But we've seen this organization, they go after guys right now who have those big arms and see what they can do with them. And maybe it turns into a Jorge Alcala situation like, last year, where it just, it never really happened. I mean, this guy's been claimed off waivers, 3 times since the season ended last year. So a lot of teams want him, but a lot of teams don't want to have him, if that makes sense.
Well, he's a project.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the stuff that you would need to get major league hitters out, but he's very erratic. In these last 2 years, he's had almost no success in the big leagues, and he's out of options. So pretty good chance that he's sticking with this team coming out of spring training, because otherwise, why would you trade a player with options for a guy without them if you're not going to keep him?
Yeah, unless, I mean,
he could be terrible.
Or their internal models just say on Granillo that he kind of is what he is, and he wasn't going to take any further steps. And if that's the case, then you try to turn him into something. At least for those guys, the Nationals, they train just down the road, so nobody has to change their living accommodations.
No, that's true. Yeah, you guys are. What's it? I haven't been down there in a while, but it's like half an hour apart?
Not even.
Yeah, it's really close. Yeah. Last time I was down there was 2019.
Okay.
I got to cover the Nationals spring training that year after they won the World Series. Actually, it was the spring of 2020, after the 2019 season when they won the World Series, that I got to go down there. Really nice. It's a really nice facility, and it's very close to Jupiter. It's right down the road.
It's in the middle of nowhere, though. I think the Cardinals would love to have the land that they have out there, because the Cardinals are very much landlocked, and that was one of the big challenges in doing this upgrade. And how they were going to make that work, because they don't have a lot of land, whereas the Nationals and the Astros, they are not hurting for land out there.
All right, we got more pitchers and catchers conversation coming your way. Matt Pauley is live in Jupiter. Obviously, I'm here in the studio, and we'll be picking things back up with Redbird Rush Hour next up here on KMOX.
Create the ultimate raised bed garden with St. Louis Composting. Our premium compost and soil mixes are perfect for filling the raised beds you'll enjoy building, and even better for growing fresh, homegrown veggies. Imagine harvesting your own tomatoes, peppers, and cilantro for fresh salsa the whole family can enjoy. And with delivery right to your door, getting started has never been easier. Visit stlcompost.com to order a convenient delivery from your phone in seconds, or stop by one of our 9 locations in the St. Louis area. St. Louis Composting, growing gardens and making memories.
Winter is tough on homes. Ice and wind often lead hidden damage you can't see from the ground. Don't wait for the first spring showers to discover a leak. Get the Happy Roofers Spring Readiness Checkup today. We perform a thorough, risk-free inspection to ensure your roof is solid. With our Spring Smile Guarantee, you get guaranteed workmanship and total peace of mind. We always deliver happy endings. Visit thehappyroofer.com or call 314-665-3001.
Traffic from the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
Well, we still got our roadwork jam on westbound 370. This traffic report is a service of S&L Coins from just west of 270 out through the Mills to Earth City. The right lane or two lanes are shut down at 141 there, and that's why it's jammed all the way back through the Mills. Westbound 70 city limits, slow past the airport. A couple of pockets from Earth City out to Zumbel, past Highway K. And then we have a jam again. Earlier it jammed, then it thinned out. Now we're backed up again west of David Hochul Parkway, midway out to Wright City. So pretty tough going there at the west end. Westbound 64 pockets, it bunches up Kings Highway to McCausland. It's slow Clayton Worcester to 270, Clarkson to Topgolf, and Winghaven out to 70. South 170 bogs down at Ladue. South 270, 364 to Ladue. 64 down to Doherty Ferry, 44 down to Gravois. That's all slow. North 170, Scudder Airport Road a little busy. Westbound 44, west of Jameson out through Laclede Station and Edgar. Southbound 55, south of Arsenal to Bates. Route 3 at Monsanto at train crossing. Southbound's jammed back to the bridge. Eastbound 64, east of Union Station. The ballpark over onto 5570 is a solid jam. Roadwork at Exchange is the culprit, and then eastbound 64 slow, 157 midway up to 159 for the same reason. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
SNL Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold filled and silver plates. Before you sell, call SNL 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. SNL Coin.
Rush Hour Sports continues on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
All right, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here on Redbird Rush Hour. Matt is in Jupiter. Obviously, our spring training coverage will be every single day between now and when the team breaks camp to go north. That's how we do. Now, that's not all you, Matt. You got the first half. Tom will follow up with you after that. But we obviously
65-70%.
Well, that's true.
Here,
you definitely have probably close to 2/3 of it from the length standpoint because of the WBC and then Tom's duties calling basketball. So you'll be down there for, I'm sure, when you look at that time right now, things are not happening much. And it's kind of like, okay, let's wait for stuff to happen. But what do you think? Maybe 4 or 5 days from now, it's going to be just nonstop.
Yeah, I mean, there was more happening today than I expected there.
Yeah, you got your big tour.
Yeah, we walked back and there was activity on the fields, and there were some bullpen sessions going on. Jose Kendo was out working with guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was it didn't have the numbers that it's going to have, but it felt baseball-y. I think a lot of guys were getting their physicals done today.
Mm-hmm.
So there was just a lot of people walking around. And again, the fact that it's a active construction site adds to the idea that there's a lot going on.
Saw the bullpen session from Durangelo Sanger today. That was interesting.
A little bit lefty.
Threw a little bit. Yeah. Did you see it, or did you just kind of witness see the videos?
I just heard. Yeah,
okay.
I just heard about it.
I was just curious to see how much of it he threw lefty. I know they said they're going to keep doing it, but mostly from a routine standpoint, with the focus, the emphasis being on the right side.
Do you see any scenario where he could be a right-handed starter, but a day here and a day there, he could be available as a lefty out of the bullpen?
I would say unlikely that you go that route. I would say it'd be more like you pick your spots in your start where you might go, this guy really stinks against lefties, so I'm going to switch and throw lefty. But I wouldn't think he's going to do that regularly. I would think that it's going to be stick with the right side, because the hard part about it is, and this is, if you guys have seen the scouting reports on him, and I've seen him pitch, I saw him pitch a lot in college. He's a lot wilder on the left side. His command's not nearly as good. The velo's a little less too, but not by a whole lot. And he's just sharper from the right. His stuff moves sharper. His fastball's got a little bit more run to it, a little more ride to it. And he's got better command from that side. So clearly that's the side to stick with if you're going to pick one.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of him all of a sudden flipping to be a lefty in a start, considering how strong he could potentially be from the right side. So that's when my brain starts going, okay, so if he's never going to throw from the left side in a start, which is what I'd rather him, not do, where can they use that? And then if all of a sudden you make him available 1 out of those 4 days in the bullpen as a lefty, I don't know, maybe that's something. I'm just trying to think outside the box.
The hard part is we just don't have a lot of precedent for it. And I honestly don't know what that means from a mechanical standpoint, from a strength standpoint, from a recovery standpoint, because you're using the opposite side muscles, right? So where you push on the right side, you land on the left side, and obviously vice versa. So I don't know exactly what that means in terms of recovery. So it's a good question. It would be fascinating if you could look at that and say on occasion, or maybe like you could look at it and say, hey, we got an off day this week, and that gives everybody an extra day. He'll get an extra day's rest. Hey, let's see if we need a lefty in the pen today. Maybe he's available in the pen today. The problem is when your command is an issue, throwing you out there in relief makes it a little bit dicier if you're going to be pitching late in the game. Although maybe it wouldn't. Maybe it would be 5th, 6th inning stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what other path you could go down to actually take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think him switching to being a lefty in the middle of a start, with how good potentially he can be as a right-hander, is actually any type of advantage.
Yeah, I mean, he did it in college, but you're facing college guys.
Right.
It's not the same thing. And I would say, again, if you did it occasionally where someone has wildly extreme splits that you're facing, maybe that's the case where you're going to use it rarely as opposed to regularly. But even then, I would just say, let's just be right-handed. Your fastball's up to 98 right side. You don't need to do anything but locate with your other pitches. So, but it would be fun. It would be fun. One of the other things I wanted to bring up, and we'll talk more catching coming up after the news, but one of the other things I wanted to bring up, Matt, is you're seeing teams report, and already we've got season-ending injuries. Anthony Santander is going to miss 6 months with shoulder surgery. Bowden Francis of the Blue Jays is going to have Tommy John. You got Reese Olson from Detroit, shoulder surgery done for the year. All of that happening. And I say all these things now, not that our listeners care that much about those players unless they're fantasy baseball players, in which case you might. Francisco Lindor's got a hamate injury, so there's that question for him too. But the thing I always like to come back to, it's my favorite thing to say in these first couple of days of spring. We want the first week or two to be quiet, because any news early is bad news.
Yeah.
There's very rarely anything newsy that's good early in camp.
Yeah. You just want guys to ease in, throw, but don't, because if they feel something, it's not that they're feeling something good. It is definitely a time period where you're trying to ease into the rest of spring.
Yeah. And look, there are guys that are, and some of the guys I just mentioned there, we're dealing with previous injuries, right? These things weren't new. Like Santander missed a bunch of last year with that shoulder injury, and then he re-aggravated it in January when he was working out. Reese Olson had the shoulder last year. So these aren't like brand new, hey, they showed up, went too hard, and got hurt. This is,
right.
These are setbacks, but still, it's not great news when you're early in a season, you're in the first days of spring training, and you're talking about people missing 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, spring training hasn't even officially opened up yet. The 60-man injured list is open now. I saw Chris Bryant.
Chris Bryant's going to be on there.
Move there. So now is the time where you can start to create some 40-man roster spots with with the 60-man with guys that maybe you carried through.
Yep, and obviously, you can do that once spring training starts. You can start with the putting guys on the 60-day IL, and you can also date it back to that date. So if somebody goes on the 60-day now, they could actually be available at the end of April, or by mid-April, depending on, by mid-April, depending on the recovery process. So just a couple things to get into. All right, let's talk catching coming up next, Matt. Obviously, we know a lot of the storylines. We know that, Pajes is the trusted defender. We know that Herrera wants to catch more. We know that Jimmy Crooks is an up-and-comer. We know that Leonardo Bernal's not far behind. We don't need to talk about Rainiel Rodriguez yet, but I think we have a really interesting spring training to track how the catching thing goes, and we'll talk a bit about what we expect next up here on Redbird Rush Hour.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. YourEyeDoc.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's best eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Straight Realty has always been an industry leader when it comes to commissions. So it should come as no surprise that the recent Realtor settlement has only empowered us to continue offering our sellers even better rates. We now list homes for only 2%. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. Call me, 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
At 5:30, this news update is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Right now, we've got cloudy sky, currently 55 degrees downtown at the Arch. A masked person with a handgun holster was caught on camera outside Nancy Guthrie's front door the night she disappeared. The FBI released the images. The person wearing a backpack and a ski mask can be seen in the video tilting their head down and away from a doorbell camera while nearing an archway at the home of the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. The images did not show what happened to 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie or help determine whether she is still alive. 9 in 10 American Jews say they feel less safe because of anti-Semitic incidents.
The new report from the American Jewish Committee says major attacks on Jews in the United States over the past year, including a firebombing attack in Boulder, Colorado, and the murders of 2 Israeli embassy staffers in D.C., have increased fear.
They need to be aware all the time. That means they need to be nervous all the time about going about their daily lives.
AJC St. Louis director Nancy Lisker says more than half of American Jews surveyed say they've changed what they wear, what events they attend, and what they share online out of fear. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
President Trump is standing by his Commerce Secretary amid revelations he has appeared in the Epstein files.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick remains in good standing.
Secretary Lutnick remains a very important member of President Trump's team, and the president fully supports the secretary.
Secretary Lutnick admitted to senators during a hearing that he visited sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's island in 2012 along with his family. Previously, he told lawmakers he had cut off all contact with Epstein in 2005. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
A joint task force of local, state, and federal law enforcement working to reduce crime in and around New Orleans says they have busted a human trafficking ring.
Rescued 4 victims of human trafficking.
According to FBI Special Agent in Charge Jonathan Tapp, 2 of those victims were minors. Those rescues were part of Operation NOLA Safe, which began at the turn of the year. According to Homeland Security Special Agent in Charge Matt Wright, authorities also arrested people they believe trafficked those victims.
5 individuals were arrested for offenses involving human trafficking, resulting in a direct disruption of this trafficking network and holding those offenders accountable.
Ian Ozan for CBS News, New Orleans.
American optimism is way down. Correspondent Jim Krasula.
The number of Americans who expect they will have, quote, high-quality life in the years ahead has dropped to a 2-decade low, according to a new Gallup poll. 6 in 10 people surveyed said they expected their lives would be significantly better in the future than today. That's considerably lower than even during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Gallup has been measuring Americans' sense of optimism since 2008. There was a new ski event at the Winter Olympics in Milan.
Ski mountaineering, or skimo, is making its Olympic debut. The event challenges athletes to climb and descend steep mountain courses while repeatedly taking their skis on and off. They first go up the hill on skis and then down the rugged terrain on foot. The skimo events start on February 19th with men's and women's sprints. Then a mixed relay takes place on the 21st. Competing for Team USA, Anna Gibson and Cam Smith. Stacy Lynn, CBS News.
From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, for tonight, cloudy sky, low 32. For tomorrow, sunshine and a high of 50. Right now, 55 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Are you turning 65 or new to Medicare? Humana knows not everyone has the same needs when picking a Medicare Advantage plan.
Now that I'm retired, I want to enjoy the life I've worked hard to build. So I want a plan that covers me when I'm traveling the country.
Humana has a plan for that.
As a veteran, I want a plan that fills in the gaps my VA coverage doesn't provide, like dental care.
Humana has a plan for that.
I feel good about my health. I just want care and coverage with predictable costs. No surprises.
Humana has a plan for that. With a Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you get coverage and benefits that focus on what matters most to you. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Being first in line can be very important to homeowners. First in line for the plumber, first in line for the HVAC guy, first in line for Banner Construction. It's Banner Construction's winter home event, and you can be first in line this spring and save before the annual price increases. Banner Construction is a James Hardy and Pelowina replacement specialist, and now is the best time to schedule a free in-home consultation with no obligation. Call 314-569-1050 or see them online and have a banner day.
Hey, St. Louis City SC fans, mark your calendars now. The Boys in Red return to Energizer Park to kick off Season 4 Saturday, February 21st. And you could be there for the dawn of a new golden era of St. Louis soccer. Go to stlcitysc.com/tickets and reserve your seat now for the MLS home opener versus Charlotte FC. Limited quantities remain. See you soon, St. Louis.
Mozart's The Magic Flute comes to life in concert with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. Under the baton of music director Stefan Deneve, hear one of Mozart's most brilliant scores performed in all its richness, with the St. Louis Symphony Chorus and St. Louis Children's Choirs bringing its unforgettable characters to life. February 20th and 22nd at Powell Hall at the Jack C. Taylor Music Center. Tickets at slso.org.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history. From moment to memory. Presenting the Barnyard Pauley. Among those voices, Bill Wilkerson.
He fakes drop sets, looking, throwing upfield. It is.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Target, we're unlocking all the feels this Valentine's Day. It's the perfect time to spread extra love and spoil everyone on your list with unforgettable gifts. First, give a cuddle-worthy surprise with the cutest plush toys, or get party ready and treat yourself to stylish women's dresses you'll heart. Both 20% off. Then dive into the ultimate cozy celebration with your faves with 30% off select women's pajamas. There's something sweet for all your special someones, even you. Find Valentine's Day gifts for everyone at Target.
Midwest winters take a real toll on your garage door. Let my friends at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis come out and perform their 26-point tune-up on your garage door and opener. The work is guaranteed, and it's just one price for up to 3 garage doors and openers. No extra charge for evening or Saturday service. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, since 1926, 100 years. Schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. That's overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
At Gray Bar, we know your time is money. That's why our services go beyond parts and products. With kitting, pre-assembly, wire carts, and Gray Bar smart reels that keep you moving. We stage materials and manage logistics so you can spend less time sorting and more time installing. And with locations nationwide, we deliver when and where you need it, working to make your job easier every step of the way. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Hey, Happy New Year, big boy. Hey, what's up, Izzy? Also known as the Kool-Aid Man. You got any New Year's resolutions?
I got one, Eddie. I've promised myself to spend more time on that toasty, warm, huge, heated outdoor patio of yours. It's nothing like having your coat off, drinking the coldest beer in town with hundreds of your family, friends.
Man, it is a toasted patio, and that's a great resolution. And, thanks for not mentioning things like weight loss and health kick. And those would be hard in Fast Eddie's. It'd be hard to lose any kind of weight or take away from anything when you got the 5-pound Fat Eddie burger, the hot chick on a stick, that big Elwood on a stick, and those succulent peel and eat shrimp.
Yeah, I am not losing any weight hanging around your place. I learned it's a lot easier just to make those resolutions simple and fun, buddy.
Man, and that's easy. You're right. That's a great resolution. So make your resolution fun. And head on over to Fast Eddie's Bon Air. You know where to go across that big, beautiful Clark Bridge and come into Alton, Illinois. So like Mr. Shannon always said, if you're 21 and in the mood, we'll see you at Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
Kool-Aid Man.
If you've ever thought about donating to the Humane Society of Missouri in the past, watch these true rescue stories. They will inspire you to take action today during their 5th annual Day of Giving. Watch and donate at hsmo.org/dog.
Traffic from the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
Well, we still have our westbound 370 jam from west of right around the mills, and it goes all the way out to 141. Only, again, one lane open due to road work going on. Westbound 70, slow at the city limits. The Rock Road out through the Blanchette Bridge, kind of busy. K to Bryan Road after that. Back to seeing, we've got these periodic delays. Now the delay is west of Wright City, primarily through the Wright City rest area, so things keep shifting out west there, popping up. Westbound 64, Kings Highway to Big Bend is slow, and from west of Winghaven out to 70. Southbound 270, Olive down through Doherty Ferry, Big Bend to 44. Still some slow pockets. South 170 bogs down at the Parkway. Westbound 44 briefly through Laclede Station. Southbound briefly at Bates. Eastbound 64 still jammed, approaching the Poplar onto 5570 at Exchange, and 64 approaching 157 midway to 159. You still have a roadwork slowdown. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Discover Meadowview Memory Care in Arnold, a small, secure community on a beautiful campus. Enjoy peace of mind with all our inclusive rates and comfortable private suites. Schedule your tour today at rspseniorliving.com.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, Redbird Rush Hour here on a Tuesday night. Matt Pauley is in Jupiter. I'm Kevin Wheeler. I am in St. Louis in our KMOX studios. And obviously talking baseball, you guys feel free to chime in on the stream if you'd like. There was something weird going on Twitter, so if you normally watch there, it's there. For some reason, it's not popping up in the timeline. Don't know why that is. I think it's a Twitter thing and not an us thing. But anyway, it's there if you look at the live on thing that's on the right-hand side of the screen. But anybody that wants to comment, feel free. Matt, with pitchers and catchers going on, I ought to be appropriate to kind of suss out just the catching picture here, right? I mean, I think it's legitimate that we have 4 guys who could be on the big league team on opening day. They won't all be, but there's 4 catchers that all have the chance to be there depending on how things play out. And I would imagine no matter what, Bernal's going to be at AAA to start the year. But even that is complicated by whether or not you keep 3 of the catchers or 2 of the catchers at the major league level. I would imagine they keep 3, right?
Yeah, I would think so. That's assuming that Ivan Herrera is one of them. They keep 3.
Right. In other words, if you're keeping 3, he's probably not catching.
Right. So, and in a perfect world, I think Pozo is at AAA very much in the role with Bernal that he was supposed to be in last year with Crooks. So then that brings us to Pedro Pages and Jimmy Crooks. So if I were to predict it right now, I would think that Pages, Crooks, and Herrera are all on the roster. And the question is, how much of a catcher is Herrera?
Right. And you know, Pozo, you know what he is. I mean, he's not nearly the quality of hitter that he seemed to be early last year, right? He had a little bit of good luck early in the year, and it felt like, you know, he was a guy that had the clutch gene and all that. But I mean, he's not much of a hitter. He's just a guy that basically puts everything into play, but doesn't usually hit the ball all that hard. And he's an okay defender, but he's nothing special. But he's perfectly fine as a backup. He's just not a guy that you want to see a lot of playing time with. And when it comes to the other guys, you know, Herrera is going to play. It's just a matter of whether he catches or not. And I would bet not. I have a hard time believing that at this point, after all this time, you're going to figure out your throwing problems. I feel like if you've gotten this far and you still haven't figured them out, I don't think his problems last year. Now, maybe I'll be wrong because he had the elbow surgery and that may have been what was holding him back. I'm not sure I'd buy that, to be honest with you, because
and the elbow surgery, Kevin, put another kind of wrench into this whole thing.
Yes, because it slowed down the process.
Right. And there's been a lot of talk about the catching curriculum that's being put in place for the minor leaguers and how the guys at the big league level basically never went through it. So they would like to run them through it to see what it can do. And I buy that as a thing that can help Herrera be better. But it also wasn't something where all off season he was able to work through it because he was going through the recovery process.
Yeah. So I mean, we know how big a deal Herrera is for the lineup. When it comes to catching, I would say, I think we both agree, if he's catching, it's going to be pretty rare. So then it becomes who can take control of primary duties, if there even is such a thing, Matt. I would say that Crooks probably has to earn the spot rather than just assume that he has it. Because if he struggles in the spring, it's very easy to go back to Pozo as your backup catcher and have, you know, Pages catch the vast majority of the time. The problem with Pages is he's a strong defender, but his bat is just a non-factor. And I know he had 11 home runs last year, but what's crazy about his year is that as low as his numbers appear to be, he was actually lucky to be as good as he was. Like his expected production was in the bottom 1% of Major League Baseball. So combined, He strikes out too much, never walks, swings at everything. Like, when you rank in the bottom 10% in baseball in chase rate, strikeout rate, and walk rate, and you don't have high-end bat speed, although his bat speed's a little above average. It's not terrible, but it's only a little bit above average. That's just not going to work. And he's 27, so I wouldn't expect any major change there. He's going to have to hit more if he's going to be a catcher for this team, more than a backup catcher for the team moving forward.
Yeah, and Crooks has hit everywhere he's been. So
he's always been a good hitter, college and
Yeah.
in the minors. Yeah.
And let me throw this kind of back at you on something here, Kevin, because you said if it doesn't, work out for Crooks in spring, he can easily go back to AAA. And I agree with you, but I also don't think that's preferable. I don't want to see Crooks and Bernal at AAA
Totally agree.
together, where they're basically
Splitting.
split.
Yep.
Yeah, because then you're not able to completely focus on one single guy and the amount of time that he needs. You're going with two. So I think it's important for Bernal that Crooks is good enough that he makes the major league team.
Yeah, you could early in the year, if that's the move, it ends up happening. If Crooks just struggles and isn't ready, you could keep Bernal at AA for a month or two. Like, not for the whole season. Not that he needs the work there defensively, because he won the minor league Gold Glove. Although I saw a couple evaluations. I think it was Keith Law that mentioned he's a little surprised that he won the Gold Glove in the minor leagues. And it's a lot because of his throwing. He's a really good thrower. But his other stuff was a little behind, again, according to Keith Law. But let's keep in mind, he did hit 247 at AA last year. And again, didn't strike out a crazy amount. His walk rate was pretty good. And he showed some power. So I don't think he needs to go back to AA. But it's better than sharing time with Crooks if Crooks struggles in the spring.
Yeah, perfect scenario.
And he's only 21, so he would be age appropriate for AA if he's there.
Yeah, I that's not a thing. I just you don't want guys to stall out at a single level.
Totally
you
agree.
wanted them to continue to promote. But I think you're right in your assessment that it's better to have him at AA than have Crooks and Bernal on the same team together at AAA.
Right, because they're both. See, this is the thing. Catchers need reps. You need to get into the flow of doing it every day, or at least doing it, 67 to 70% of the time, right? 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4. Like, that's what's expected for a number one catcher in the major leagues, is you're going to go at least 2/3 of the games, maybe 3/4 of the games. That's what everybody wants. They don't, and especially when you're young in the minors, you don't want to DH every other day. You want to be in the routine of calling a game, blocking pitches, throwing runners out, directing traffic, because that's how you get better.
And then doing it the next day.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right.
That's part. No, learning your body and how it recovers from one day to the next can be just as important. And I'm preaching to the choir, Kevin. You were a catcher. You know this better than I do. But you go through a lot as a catcher. So knowing what you need to do to survive that, if you get to the big leagues and you just spent your entire minor league career basically never playing back-to-back games behind the plate, your body's not going to be ready for that at the big league level.
All right, got a couple questions on the chat that we're going to hit when we come back. It's Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here on Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler here. I want to tell you about 213 Complex. And you can pick that up at supplement superstores. And quite simply, 213 Complex is the most effective and powerful all-natural weight loss supplement ever developed. Here's what it's doing for me and what it'll do for you. Boost the metabolism, gets it working at full go all the time. Helps with cravings. And man, that's a big deal for me. All-day focus energy with no jitters, no crash at the end of the day. It's a great tool for achieving your goals. Get out to supplement superstores. Tell them Kevin Wheeler sent you in. They will knock 30% off your 213 Complex. And you can find your location at supplementsuperstores.com.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we still got a couple of roadwork jams. This traffic reports the service of Meadowview Memory Care. One of them is westbound 370 backed up from the mills or approaching the mills really out to 141 because it's only down to one lane there. And we still have this jam downtown, eastbound 64 on the Poplar Street Bridge, just crawling all the way over onto 5578 Exchange due to the roadwork. And then 64 eastbound approaching 157 midway up the hill to 159. You have a roadwork slowdown as opposed to a jam. Westbound 70 still a little busy at the city limits. Lindbergh Rock Road, 270 Air City, west of 94 to Zunbell, both sides of Highway K. It's a little slow around the Wright City West area now. We've had delays periodically out that way. Westbound 64 still backed up. Science Center headed out to Big Bend, and 364 out to 70. South 170, the delays at Brentwood. North 170, a little busy at Airport Road. South 270, Manchester to Doherty Ferry, 44 to Gravois to slow down. Southbound 55, just kind of bogged down through Bates. I'm Roger Brand at the Michaels Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
For 100 years, KMOX has been a part of St. Louis. Now, those moments live on, preserved, remastered, and ready to be heard again. Discover KMOX from the Archives, a podcast featuring classic audio from a century of service.
Sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
The KMOX for the Archives podcast, available now at KMOX100.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, back to the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
All right, Tuesday night on Redbird Rush Hour. Matt Pauley and Jupiter, Kevin Wheeler in St. Louis. What do we got coming up tonight, Matt?
Yeah, we got a Sports Open Line, a full 2-hour edition of the program this evening. Our one non-baseball thing that we'll get to tonight is our weekly conversation with Hockey Amy. Amy Marks, of course, is going to be on the show.
Olympic hockey?
Then we'll see. We'll see where we go with that. And then Mike Farron's going to be with us, our buddy from MLB Network Radio, and Dan Zimborski from Fangraphs. So
nice.
And we'll
see if those zips are changed with some of the deals.
Yeah, we'll talk to him about that. Also, want to throw this out: if anybody has any questions about the complex or the changes or anything like that, we'll take a little bit of time doing that and taking some questions. So that'll all be coming up on the show.
All right, let's close out. We got a little bit more than 2 minutes. Let's close out with Ken's question here. Ken Gregory sent us a message. He said, why stick with Pages unless he's in the future plans? What can Crooks prove in Memphis that he hasn't already? Let's jump into this rebuild, and if that's what the organization wants. I'll say this, Ken. I want Crooks to be the starter at the major league level. Like, I think that's the goal, but he is in a position where he has to perform to earn it. You're right. He probably doesn't have much left to prove in Memphis, but he does have to prove that he's capable at the major league level. And I know that that's only the beginning in the spring, Matt, but I think that if he has a good spring, he'll play in the big leagues. And I would imagine they'll give him every shot to be the main guy, given what we know about Pages and his age and his offensive limitations.
Yeah, I would think so. But Pages can be valuable here for a couple things. First off, there is more upside to Pedro Pages than Joel Pozo. And I'm not trying to take a shot at Joel Pozo, but these are two very different players. You can, and Pages is, it's a better situation. However, if Herrera surprises everybody and he can really do a nice job behind the plate and he can maybe catch 2 or 3 games a week, well, then all of a sudden that probably changes where you want Pedro Pages and whether or not there's an opportunity to maybe offload him for somebody else.
Yeah, I really do think Ken's question's a good one because a lot of people, I understand the question, but here's part of the reason why you want to play Pages as much, like at least a good bit, is because he's still a guy with a lot of team control and could have trade value later in the season. A lot of teams would love to have him as their number 2 catcher. And I mean contending teams. Because he's a strong defender, there aren't that many guys that are out there. He's good with pitching staff, like all the stuff you love. And I'm not saying you're going to get a top 100 prospect for him. You're not. But if he plays like he did last year and you get into July, somebody has an injury, he can be valuable. So I wouldn't want to punt on him, and I wouldn't want to send him down. It would be more likely that I would prefer that he's kind of more of a true backup to Crooks, and maybe they split it 60-40 or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's with maybe a Herrera start thrown in.
Right. I have a hard time buying the Herrera thing. We'll talk more about that when we start seeing it. I just have a hard time buying it given the difficulties that we've seen so far. But I want it to happen because if you can have a bat like that behind the plate, you're in good shape. That's going to be a good long-term lineup if that works out. All right, buddy, have a good show tonight. Get some rest after that and have fun tomorrow down there in Jupiter.
Sounds good.
That's Matt Pauley. Sports Open Line is next here on KMOX.
2 St. Louis icons, 1 legendary tribute. Join the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra in St. Louis City SC at Powell Hall on Sunday, February 15th for Eternal, a tribute to Tina Turner. Presented by Purina, with performances by special guests including conductor Anthony Parthener, Grammy Award-winning artist Brittany Howard of Alabama Shakes, and our city's own Kennedy Homes. This is your chance to experience the ultimate journey through Tina's immortal catalog. Tickets are limited. Get yours now at slso.org.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Over 35 years, I've seen it all. Car crashes, work injuries, defective products, medical mistakes, lives flipped upside down in an instant. But I've also seen something else, the power of fighting back, the power of winning. Over $30 billion recovered and counting. Size matters, reputation matters, results matter. There's only one Morgan & Morgan.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your bed. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Thank you, St. Louis, for making Genesis of St. Charles your most trusted and #1 Genesis dealer in Missouri for 2026. We know your time is valuable. That's why every purchase comes with 3 years of complimentary Genesis Service Valet. Unlock your e-price and save. That means complimentary vehicle pickup and delivery, plus a loaner vehicle at no additional cost. Or want something new? We'll bring the test drive to you. Visit genesisofstcharles.com today. Based on GMA sales records for 2025. See dealer for details.
Every spring brings promises, and every spring delivers surprises. This year, the Cardinals are writing a new story, and there will be plenty of surprises. Matt Pauley is in Jupiter with inside access to Camp Cardinals.
Presented by St. Louis Composting. Composting, growing gardens and making memories. And Happy Roof. We always create happy endings.
From breakout performances to roster revelations, get reports throughout the day on the voice of the Cardinals. KMOX. Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, they just cleared a crash to the right shoulder. It looks like southbound 270 before Gravois. Traffic's jammed back to 44. We still have our jam downtown, eastbound 64 midspan on the Poplar over onto 55-70 at Exchange. It's still slow 157 midway to 159. And we still have our roadwork jam on westbound 370 from the Mills out to 141. Again, it's down to one lane for road repair there. Westbound 64 from Hampton headed out through McCausland's heavy, and there's still slow stuff approaching Prospect. I'm Roger Brand in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Stacey Lynn. The FBI has released surveillance images of a masked person at Nancy Guthrie's front door the day she went missing. CBS's Andreas Gutierrez is in Tucson.
The investigators keep coming back to the fact of how prepared this person looks. You could see someone who is masked, someone who is wearing these distinctive gloves, who is carrying a distinctive backpack moving straight to Guthrie's door.
Anna Schechter has more on the timing of the release of the video.
We're 10 days out, and we know that technology companies were working with law enforcement. So it took them this long to obtain this image because an initial search of the surveillance camera footage did not yield an image like this.
The FBI is offering a $50,000 reward for information. Now to Capitol Hill, where congressional Democrats stood beside Epstein survivors and introduced Virginia's law, new legislation that removes statutes of limitation on sex traffickers. This is lawmakers are getting a look at newly released files associated with the late sex offender. Danny Bensky is a survivor.
The incompetence is the strategy here. This idea of throwing all the survivors' names out there. So now they're pulling documents offline to now redact. So we actually don't know what is being pulled down for our lawyers to work on and what is being pulled down for other reasons.
CBS's Jim Krasula on why some New York City activists are upset.
The National Park Service has stopped flying a rainbow flag at the Stonewall National Monument in Manhattan's Greenwich Village. Some see it as a symbolic swipe at the country's first national monument to LGBTQ plus history. The Park Service says it's simply complying with recent guidance from the Trump administration over flag policies.
President Trump is threatening to block the opening of a new bridge between Ontario and Detroit. He said it was built mostly with non-American materials. He's not happy with that. And Michigan truck driver Josh Kramer agrees.
We got people that need the money as bad as they need the money. Their people come over here every day, come work over here, and they go back home with this money. They don't spend that money over here. So I think they need to give us that money.
The Seattle Seahawks are celebrating their Super Bowl win with a victory parade tomorrow. Laura Nozak says she'll be there.
I told my manager, though, way before we even went to the Super Bowl, I said, if we win, I'm not coming in on whatever day the parade follows.
Officials estimate up to 1 million people could attend the parade tomorrow. Parade start time is at 11 a.m. local time. This is CBS News.
Real crimes, real justice. Follow and listen to 48 Hours on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS? Whether it's due to job loss, a divorce, a new business venture, or you just didn't file your taxes, don't lose hope. Powerful relief programs are now available that can help you and may reduce or even eliminate what you owe the IRS. With the cost of living affecting millions across the country, Tax Relief Advocates is urgently notifying anyone with $5, $50, or even $500,000 in back taxes to the IRS to call to get relief options. With over 1,000 5-star Google reviews and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, TRA is America's trusted choice for real tax relief. Relief options are now available that can give you a fresh start and peace of mind. End your tax nightmare today by calling our tax relief hotline. Dial 800-390-8432. 800-390-8432. That's 800-390-8432. Or visit TRA.com. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
At 6:04, we've got 52 degrees downtown at the Arch. The feels like right now is 44. A $250 million renovation isn't the only change coming to Faurot Field. Mizzou announces it is looking for a corporate naming rights partner for the stadium as part of its centennial project. While the historic venue is called Faurot Field by most and has technically been known as Memorial Stadium since opening in 1926, the university plans to drop the word memorial from the title if a sponsor is secured. Deputy Athletic Director Eric Morrison is leading the search, which officials say is crucial for generating the revenue needed to keep pace with the rest of the SEC. A woman waiting in the drive-thru for coffee at a Starbucks is dead after being shot.
St. Louis police spokesman Mitch McCoy says this happened around 10 o'clock this morning at the Starbucks in the 2300 block of South Grand. Police say the suspect is African-American, wearing a lime green colored vest and hard hat helmet.
If you are home, you see someone matching the description of this person, do not approach him. He is incredibly dangerous. He is armed, and you need to call 911 immediately.
Airborne, ground, and canine searches are underway. Police ask for you to check your security video between 9 and 10:30 this morning to see if it captured the suspect. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
Today, a $1 million donation presented to Backstoppers. It was from Guns N' Hoses, the November boxing match fundraiser.
The funding that Guns N' Hoses provides us 1/3 of our budget. It lets us do the work that we do. And it's really, Guns N' Hoses, it's the power behind Backstop.
Backstoppers financially supports the families of fallen first responders. Bypass surgery without cracking open your chest. It's now possible in this area. KMOX health editor Fred Bottomer has that.
Mercy St. Louis is now the only hospital in Missouri to offer this hybrid alternative to heart bypass. Mercy cardiothoracic surgeon Dr. Parth Patel.
This procedure allows us to do the most important bypass, which is the artery from the front of the chest wall to the front of the heart, without ever having to break the sternum and open the chest up fully. We use 3 small incisions down the left side of the chest to harvest the internal mammary artery using the robot as an assistant. And then we make a small incision, 5-centimeter incision, to the left of the breastbone without breaking ribs, without spreading ribs.
Dr. Patel says patients see a faster recovery, lower risk of complications, and less pain. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
Thousands of oil and gas wells are scattered across fields in rural Illinois. A new report suggests that state regulators don't have a good handle on how many are out there.
They may be plugged, they may not be plugged. So that's one of the findings of this report, was that the state really doesn't do a very effective job of collecting data on the wells and how much they're producing or whether or not they're producing.
Peter Hancock is a State House reporter at Capital News, Illinois. Researchers at Northwestern and Client Earth USA say old wells could be causing environmental issues if they're not properly plugged and capped. And they add it could be challenging to track down operators and owners to mount any kind of a cleanup effort. Maybe you've just gassed up and you're headed out on the highway. Let's get you to Roger Brand to find out what's ahead, Roger.
Well, we still got some roadwork jams, Michael, out there on westbound 370. It's been static all afternoon long, still the same. Westbound 370 jammed approaching the mills all the way out to 141. Emergency repair work out there. Only one lane is open on westbound 370. Downtown, we still have the jam. Eastbound 64, it's a little bit better, but Route 3 on to 5570 at Exchange. So just east of the Poplar, it's a solid jam. And 64 eastbound, still a slowdown east of 157, midway up to 159, so that's getting better. Westbound 70, west of Cave Springs, or west of 94, rather, out to Cave Springs, a little busy at Highway Z, but not much left there. Westbound 64 is cleared out in the city. It's just a little slow approaching 364, and that crash was cleared to the shoulder at the top of the hour, southbound 270 before Gravois. It's just a little slow past that one now. I'm Roger Brand in the Michael's Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
But my lips are turning blue. Are they fast?
My darling, Jerry Kelly can install a new furnace tomorrow, no matter what day tomorrow is, even if we call late at night.
You are my hero.
They're fast and they're good and they got it going on. JerryKelly.com.
It's been a very mild day for the middle of winter across St. Louis, but we're going a little cooler now for the next several days. Let's call it partly cloudy overnight tonight. We'll eventually drop back to 32 degrees. Wednesday, sunny skies. It is cooler than today and cooler than yesterday. 50 for the high, so much of the afternoon in the 40s. Wednesday night, some clouds around 33. Thursday, clouds at 47. Friday, sunny skies and 54 degrees. Rain develops on Saturday and will be lasting well into Saturday night and early Sunday. It is an all-rain situation. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM. KMOX.
It is 52. The feels like it's 44 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Come on, let's get going now.
From KMOX Sports.
We're primed and ready. All day, baby. Man, let's go.
This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Live. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
On a Tuesday evening, we welcome you in. It is time for a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley, coming your way from Jupiter, Florida, and Cardinals spring training as there were baseball activities going on today. Pitchers and catchers officially reporting tomorrow. We'll hear from Cardinals manager Oliver Marmol for a first time of spring coming up tomorrow. And then the first pitchers and catchers official workout is going to be coming up on Thursday. But certainly things are already happening. And it was my first opportunity to get an eye on all the renovations and upgrades that had happened to the facility, which was pretty impressive. It's still going on. It still very much feels like a construction zone at the spring training complex, but they have the important stuff done where spring training is able to commence. Welcome into the program. If you'd like to chime in today, you can do so by calling or texting 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. You can tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. And you can leave a comment on the video stream. If you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, leave a comment, and we can get to some of those as we go along through the couple hours tonight as we take you all the way until 8 o'clock this evening. Here's what we have coming up in terms of a guest on the show today. We are going to be talking here in just a few moments with Mike Farron, our good friend from MLB Network Radio. Amy Markscores will join us at about 6:35 for her weekly Blues conversation. Not a lot going on right now with it being the Olympic break, but we will talk with her and spend a little bit of time reviewing what happened during the pre-Olympic portion of the season. And then next hour at 7:20, Dan Zimborski is going to join us, senior writer with Fangraphs. When you hear us talk about Zips, Dan Zimborski is a big part of that. So we'll talk with him about all things baseball coming up in just a little while. The thing that really jumped out at me today, because today is not really a big baseball day, and there were some things happening. I think from a social media standpoint, the thing that happened that got most people's attention was the fact that Jurangelo Cijntje had a bullpen session today, and he did throw with both his right arm and his left arm. Pretty much what's going on right now is voluntary for guys. Not pretty much, it is voluntary, but there is activities that are taking place. A lot of guys were getting physicals today. And that kind of leads into what I just want to take a few minutes talking about, because I never really know how interested people are about like non-on-field stuff. And the non-on-field stuff, at least here in the early going, is notable because of how different the spring training complex looks. Essentially, two pretty large buildings were built. One is the new Performance Center, and then the other is a building that is filled with hitting tunnels. And what that has allowed is for the Performance Center, everything's been brought in under that. There's a huge weight room, all the medicals, all the science, all that is going on in this very, very large building. Previously, the weight room had so much outgrown the space that they had for it that they had put up tents on an outside sidewalk and had put weight equipment outside. So guys were forced to literally go outside of the complex under tents and use equipment there. That's not the case anymore. There's been a different weight room across the way that minor leaguers would use. It's just there's one large building now. They bring all the performance stuff together, which is good. And that's where the physicals, for the most part, were taking place. And that's the first thing that you really notice is that building alone has completely changed the feeling of the complex, because it's right across from the clubhouse, and it creates almost like not a tunnel, but like a walkway area down by the clubhouse area, which looks really cool. They did a really good job on how it looked, because they were able to pull out some of the stuff from the main building that's already been there. They were able to reallocate spaces inside of that. I haven't been inside the clubhouse yet. The clubhouse will open up bright and early tomorrow morning. That'll be my first opportunity to go in there, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that's going to look like. But from all accounts, it has been completely transformed. Even KMOX's broadcast center there at the complex is in a brand new spot, which is cool. So kudos to everybody who went through the planning on this. And I think it was a job well done, and it was something that was needed. There's now like a kitchen area with almost like a cafeteria area where people can sit down and eat. That's an important part of this as well. When you talk about performance and we talk about bodies, just being able to get the right stuff into your body, that's a very important part of what they are trying to do, and they're doing a good job with it. So I don't know how interested people are in this, but I'm going to take some time coming up later on in the show and kind of open up the text line and the phone lines. And if anybody's got any questions about the facility, what it looks like, the importance of what they've done, what other teams have done, what areas that they have caught up in, what areas they still need to catch up in, I'll do my best to answer some of those questions. So we'll certainly present that coming up later on in the program if that's something that you have any interest in. Again, if you want to chime in on what we're talking about, the phone number to call or text 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. You can tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, and you can leave a comment in the video chat for those of you who are watching on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We will take a break, and when we return, we'll have our first guest of the program, our good friend Mike Farron from MLB Network Radio. He is set to join us in just a moment or so. Don't go anywhere. This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey, and I think right now we all need something to look forward to, and a nice little getaway is going to do it for me. So I've been looking at this 5-day Arizona trip that I planned in September, and to me, it sounds absolutely perfect, and I would love for you to join me. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to stay in Flagstaff because that means cooler temperatures. It's a great home base, and from there, we're going to visit Sedona, the Grand Canyon, and Lake Powell all in one trip. I'm talking about red rocks, big views, and that deep blue water at Lake Powell that looks like a postcard. I'm told September is one of the best times to go with fewer crowds, more comfortable weather, and everything's going to be planned out for us. We just show up. If this sounds like something you'd like to do, please join me because I have always wanted to go to the Grand Canyon. Travelwithdebbie.net. That's travelwithdebbie.net, or call Cruise and Tour at 800-383-3131. Space is limited, so don't delay. 800-383-3131. Travelwithdebbie.net.
Make dinner, not reservations. Kenrick's Meat Market's complete Valentine's Day meal, including premium steak, side, salad, and dessert. Cook your perfect steak at home, all for only $59.99. Mention KMOX and receive a free bottle of wine, only at Kenrick's Meat Market.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
When it comes to lighting, Gray Bar goes beyond parts and products. We help contractors turn plans into smart designs, manage kitting and deliverables, and navigate local codes so you can stay on time and on budget. Smart, scalable, job site ready. That's not just lighting. That's like kicking your project into Gray Bar mode. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Dreaming of college but worried about the cost? The Together Foundation is here to help. The Together Foundation is awarding 5 $1,500 scholarships to St. Louis area students who are ready to take the next step toward their future. Applying is simple, but time is limited, as applications will be accepted through March 31st. Learn more or apply at togethercu.org/scholarship. That's togethercu.org/scholarship. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history.
This is Harry Carey from the beautiful new Bush
Memorial Stadium.
From moment to memory.
The case is on.
Among those voices, Bruce Bradley.
I felt better when Jimmy Carter was president, knowing that Rosalind Carter was around saying, now, Jimmy.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking. Guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott, St. Louis Westport in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
100 years. That's how long Overhead Door Company of St. Louis has been repairing and replacing garage doors. A century of trust in St. Louis. Always look for the iconic red ribbon of Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. For same-day repair service and no extra charge for evening or Saturday service. Trust your friends at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. That's overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley, continuing to broadcast from Jupiter, Florida. Cardinals spring training. KMOX has landed here at Cardinals spring training, and between myself and Tom Ackerman, we are going to be with you for the duration of spring as we get set for opening day, which is just about 6 weeks away. Always love being able to talk baseball with our friend Mike Farron from MLB Network Radio. He joins us right now. Mike, appreciate the time. Happy pitchers and catchers report week across Major League Baseball.
Thank you. Same to you. It is the happiest week of the year.
There you go. Hey, I'm glad we have you on. Before we get into like any nuts and bolts stuff, I know you're based in Arizona, and it's a little bit old now, but since you're there, what's been the fan reaction to Nolan Arenado getting traded to the Diamondbacks, and just any hope of him maybe revitalizing like the Rockies version of himself in Arizona?
Yeah, I think they're hopeful, right? I think they're also mindful of the fact that he struggled offensively the last 2 years, and I think, just from a standpoint of understanding that I think the first reaction was like, why are they doing this? They have a really good infield prospect in Jordan Lawler, who looked like he was ticketed for third base. And then I think, there wasn't covered as well locally as some of us knew that he was likely going to spend more time in the outfield, and that's where he's heading, is he's going to play center field, I think, for the most part. So, I think it's, I don't know that it was met with the excitement that it would have been if Nolan Arenado had joined the Diamondbacks right at the same time that he was absolutely crushing their hopes and dreams most of the late part of the last decade. But I do think that there is excitement to it because he's a name brand player, and he's still you've seen it, like, as much as the bat is slowed, he's still a pretty darn good defender, and there are more than a few of those incredible Nolan Arenado defensive moments that come up. So, I don't think everybody here is thrilled with the way the winter has gone for Arizona. They have not done enough to address the bullpen, and they had a major injury to one of the guys who were counting on, just when they showed up to camp, with Andrew Southrank going down. So I think more of the focus has been on that than on what they're hoping to get out of Arenado, which is probably similar to what they got out of Evan Longoria a couple of years ago when he was their third baseman in the postseason and they won the pennant.
Mike, today's been absolutely brutal on teams across baseball, announcing guys are going to be out for the year. Guys are going to be out for 5 or 6 months. You never want to get news right at the beginning of spring, but we're getting a bunch of it today. Yeah, it really has been a rough day. I don't think it, like, the vibe shift for the Toronto Blue Jays could not have taken a more, incredibly bad turn over the course of the last 4 hours. That was a team that felt like going through the winter last year, the feeling among Jays fans was they hadn't done enough. And then basically from the moment that they extended Vlad Guerrero Jr., everything was roses in the sunshine. Now, that's not entirely true. They were kind of middling around 500 the first quarter of the season, but it was a magical year. And they show up to camp today and find out their depth starter and Bowden Francis is going to have Tommy John surgery. Their starting left fielder, Anthony Santander, never really got back on track after having a shoulder issue last year and is going to need surgery that'll cost him 5 to 6 months.
And then they found out that Shane Bieber, who was dealing with some arm fatigue, it seemed like in the postseason last year, is dealing with this winter too, and probably explains why he picked up his option for the year, and he won't be ready for opening day. So that's the one that I think is the most significant. The Tigers filled the Olsen injury by signing Justin Verlander, which is a really nice fallback to be able to have when you lose one of your better starters. And I think the Mets, obviously the news on Francisco Lindor wasn't great, that he might need a hamate bone surgery, but he should be ready, if not opening day, then shortly thereafter. So the Jays one is the one that really feels like a gut punch today.
Verlander to Detroit also, I mean, we can be romantic about baseball. That's okay. That's allowed. And him going to Detroit, that seems like it's a full circle moment. I think baseball fans should probably be happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Verlander wanted to end up in a spot where he was going to be competitive, right? He was going to be on a team that competes, and there's nothing better than that, right? Like if, we're getting to the end of Verlander's career, and he actually pitched really well the last 2 months for the Giants last season. So this isn't just, hey, we're bringing him back to honor him. They're counting on him being an important part of their rotation now. So I think it's a great story. It gives them, basically the two best pitchers that they've had over the last, 40 years, really, since Jack Morris. You have Tarek Skubal and him in the rotation. They had signed Framber Valdez, as well. So, I think that there certainly are good vibes there. And, and the Tigers also, who I felt like needed offense for most of the winter, agreed to terms with Austin Slater today, too, which isn't like the sexiest move, but he hits lefties pretty well. And so I think it was, despite the fact that everybody learned that Olsen was going to be out with shoulder surgery for the season that he had a couple of weeks ago, adding Verlander today is going to bring a lot of excitement to Tigers fans, and it should help to stabilize their rotation too.
Mike Farron from MLB Network Radio continuing to join us. There's still a ton of free agents out there, and as injuries occur, that's going to create some opportunities. But would you think that the next week and a half leading up into position players reporting for most teams, that we might continue to see activity ramp up and up and up in terms of some of these guys getting taken off the board?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, I think the next couple of days in particular, because the big thing when pitchers and catchers actually report is that the 60-day IL opens up, right? So if you have players that are going to miss significant time and you need to clear a 40-man roster spot, it's a procedural move that's pretty important. And so it opens up the possibility for some of these players. I don't know that you're going to see a crazy multi-year deal with anybody. I would think at this point that, maybe if Zach Gallen agreed to a multi-year contract, they would have an opt-out after 1 year so that he could go back and test free agency again. And that seems like a likely scenario for a guy who didn't have a great year but has a really great reputation. So I think that there's, you're going to start to see that here, but also the clock is ticking, and there's a lot of guys that are still, still really good pitchers that are available on the free agent market. And, they would like to get into camp to get their work done so that they are fresh and ready on opening day, and they're not in a position where they're rushing to get everything done the last couple of weeks in the hopes of being ready for the opener. And so I think, the next few days in particular are important. Remember, camps opened a little earlier than normal this year because of the WBC, so it kind of buys you an extra week maybe. But it is something where I think you're right. You're going to start to see these starting pitchers, really the remaining major league free agents, are going to end up coming off the board here over the next 10 days.
Chaim Bloom, the Cardinals president of baseball operations, has been very open that they would like to add a veteran right-handed bat that can play the outfield. A lot of those got when Hayes and Duhar came off the board, those were a couple individuals that have been connected to the team. A former Cardinal and Randall Grichuk is still sitting out there. He's been connected. What would you maybe like to see if they are going to bring in a veteran right-handed bat?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that that's pretty thin right now, right? There's just not that many right-handed bats that are available. There's kind of a dearth of right-handed bats, especially ones that play the outfield. So, Grichuk is probably the best remaining name. I'm not sure if that's the spot that he's going to want to end up, because then you're counting on the Cardinals, trading him in July and him having a good enough season that he gets to that point, as opposed to being on a team that's contending to begin with. And I have not heard him linked to Arizona, who seems to have more priorities right now on pitching. But he lives in Arizona. He signed with them, either late in the game or in spring training the last 2 years. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's a spot that he ends up. There's really not many players that are available, though, that are right-handed hitting outfielders who would fit that mold. I mean, Tommy Pham, another old friend, would be another possibility. John Birdie's kind of a multi-positional guy, but he's a right-handed hitter who would still be out there. Sterling Marte could be another name. Really, you're down to the end of the line when it comes to right-handed hitters who can play the outfield. And so I wonder if they're going to be able to achieve that, or if they would have to do it via trade, at the deadline or at the end of spring training, something like that, if something were to open up. So for some reason, it's just one of those weird years where there's just not a whole lot of right-handed hitters available. And so the chances of getting one at this point is pretty slim if you're looking for one who's going to play the outfield.
When the Pirates signed Marcell Ozuna, speaking of old friends, it felt like that closed any door that may have remained open for Andrew McCutchen being back in Pittsburgh. Do you think he finds a landing spot, or have we maybe seen the end of the line for McCutch?
Yeah, that's a good question, because, he's pretty well limited to being a DH. He says he can still play the outfield, but, he's getting up there. He's, he had made a trek back to Pittsburgh, which is where he and his family live in the off season. It was kind of like a nice little romantic story after they had traded him away to the Giants, and then he ended up with the Yankees, that he comes back with Pittsburgh. But I'm not sure where that spot would be for him. He can still get on base, and he played a lot more, I think, the last 2 years than the Pirates expected, just because they didn't have any offense whatsoever. I don't know. I don't know if he was Pittsburgh or bust. I certainly know, because he's been very public about it, that the fact that he is frustrated by what happened in Pittsburgh, a lack of communication there. And I do think it's unfortunate that there wasn't better communication, because you're talking about a franchise icon and somebody who is really important to Pirates fans. I think that's a big miss on Ben Cherington's part, but at the same time, listen, Marcell Ozuna, I know he had a down year last year because of a hip, but he has been a far more impactful offensive player over the last several years. And based on what their needs are, which is still probably a third baseman, and it sounds like they're in the market for that, I'm not sure that there's somebody that I look at and go, man, that's a really great fit for McCutchen or for him in Pittsburgh right now. And I'm not sure, who would be looking for basically a weak side platoon DH at this point either.
He is Mike Farron. You listen to him every day on MLB Network Radio. He is fantastic, talking all things baseball. Mike, thanks for taking the time, and we'll do this again real soon.
Anytime, and I'm glad that you are finally out of what has been seems like a miserable last 3 weeks in the Midwest. So the warmth and joy that comes with it, I'm sure, are washing over you, man.
Yes, 100%. I can agree with that. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, no problem. Bye-bye.
Mike Farron joining us on the pro. Although it is warm now a little bit, I hear that it was a nice day in St. Louis. I get out of St. Louis and boom, temperatures start moving up. All right, we're doing mostly baseball today, but it is Tuesday, even in the middle of the Olympic break. We'll talk a little Blues hockey with Amy Markscourse. She joins us in just a moment right here on KMOX.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Tech, sponsored by Wesley Financial.
Apple launched an updated version of the AirTag, giving the new device much more range. The company says the new AirTag is powered by Apple's new ultra-wideband chip, which is also in the iPhone 17 and Watch Series 11, and gives the new AirTag 50% more range in finding items compared to the previous model. The chime is also 50% louder on the new AirTag. I'm Jason Brooks.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
Setting goals for retirement is one thing, but knowing how to achieve those goals is another.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different.
For tips on building a better nest egg, tune in to the All Financial Hour with host Steve All, Saturday mornings at 10 or Sunday evenings at 6, right here on KMOX. You can also visit yourmoneymattersstl.com for more details.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could it be lower testosterone?
Lower T.
Happens to most guys after 40. I was in the same boat until I started using Nugenix Total T2.
Total T2, the new one I've seen on TV.
Yep, it's the next generation testosterone booster for both free and total testosterone. It's packed with even more man-boosting power, sending nitric oxide levels skyrocketing in just 3 hours.
It actually works?
I feel like I'm in my 20s again. I've got more energy, better results in the gym, and things are even better in the bedroom. Send them a text and get a complimentary bottle.
Text now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the #1 testosterone brand at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, absolutely free. Text AREA to 369369. AREA to 369369. AREA to 369369.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler here. I want to tell you about 213 Complex, and you can pick that up at supplement superstores. And quite simply, 213 Complex is the most effective and powerful all-natural weight loss supplement ever developed. Here's what it's doing for me and what it'll do for you. Boost the metabolism, gets it working at full go all the time. Helps with cravings, and man, that's a big deal for me. All-day focus energy with no jitters, no crash at the end of the day. It's a great tool for achieving your goals. Get out to supplement superstores. Tell them Kevin Wheeler sent you in. They will knock 30% off your 213 Complex, and you can find your location at supplementsuperstores.com.
The Missouri Valley Conference men's basketball tournament has been the showcase for buzzer beaters, madness, and championship glory. With nearly 5 decades of heart-racing excitement, it begins here at Enterprise Center. The 2026 State Farm MVC Tournament, presented by Credit Union One, Great Southern Bank, and SSM Health, tips off on March 5th through 8th. Celebrate 50 years of the Valley's postseason championship. Get your tickets now at archmadness.com.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley. I'm in Jupiter, Florida, covering Cardinal spring training as the Redbirds get ready for a new season.
Listen for Matt's Reports Daily. Sponsored by St. Louis Composting and Happy Roof on the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
We are live in Jupiter, Florida, and Cardinals spring training. It is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line here on KMOX. We're going to step away from baseball for just a moment or so. It is Tuesday. It's around 6:35, so we're very happy to welcome on Hockey Amy. She is Amy Markscores. You hear her during the Chris and Amy show, 9 to noon right here on KMOX. And, of course, she co-hosts alongside of Chris Kerber, Offside Hockey on Matrix Midwest. Hey, Amy, how are you?
Hey, doing pretty well. How's Jupiter, Florida?
It's good. It's the complex looks different. They built a bunch of buildings and it's warm out and baseball things are happening. So you've never been to spring training, correct?
Well, I feel like a real doofus now, Matt. I've never been to spring training. I have been to Jupiter and I have been all around that area and like seen the stadium, but it was in August. So no, I've never been to spring training, which makes me feel like something like less of a St. Louisan, even though I'm a lifelong St. Louisan.
I had never been to spring training for the Cardinals until I got into this job, so certainly don't feel bad on that. But I would also encourage, if you have the means to do so, I think it's something that's fun to be able to experience for sure. I always tell people, come before the games get started, because you're able to go on the backfields and see the practice, and you're able to get really up close,
Yeah.
and it's pretty cool. So it's a fun thing to be able to experience for sure.
Well, yeah, Ron and I have been really pushing for KMOX to send us. We feel like that would be a good use of company funds, but they have not so far complied.
we have a brand new broadcast center actually inside the team facility now.
Oh, that's right. That's right, because they did all the renovations.
Yeah, so when you walk in the
Very
front
nice.
door of the facility, like the first door off to the right, there's a big sign that says KMOX, and we have our own room where we can do all our broadcasts from, which is great.
Love it. I love it. Well, now it's like you're in Florida with the palm trees. I'm sure all of your time is baseball, but are you able to catch any of the Winter Olympics?
I've enjoyed some of it for sure.
Nice.
And it's hard to like really follow along with the storylines, but in the moments, I think it's very enjoyable for sure. So no, I've been able to do that. We bring you on to talk hockey and talk Blues hockey specifically. And Amy, I wanted to kind of have this conversation as a look back, because we're at a mile marker point with it being the Olympic break, and they limped into the break having lost, I think it was 9 of their last 10 going in. And if there was, I feel like if there was any doubt that it just wasn't going to happen for the team this season, they did not get any bump going into the break. And here they are with just a very terrible record. And they're kind of buried now when it comes to the playoff standings.
Yeah, kind of in the middle of a losing streak here going into the 3-week break. They've only won 2 games out of their last 10. But, I said it earlier, it took me forever to panic and admit the season was lost, just because between 2019 and going from worst to first and last year, having that run after the Four Nations break, I think I had recalibrated my panic mode. And so it recalibrated to way too late in the season. But, it's okay. Chris Kerber called it a banana peel season, where you go into the season thinking it's going to be pretty good, decent, and then all of a sudden you slip on a banana peel. But if the Blues slip on a banana peel, and it's a banana peel season, and they're, last in the Central Division right now, I think only the Canucks are worse than them in the Western Conference. And I don't think they'll catch the Canucks as far as the last team. But, there's a good chance they're going to get a really good draft pick. I would love to see top 2. Obviously, that's best case scenario. But I'm okay with that. I'm not depressed. I'm not depressed because if they could get a good draft pick, and you've got Snuggerud and Dvorsky and Stenberg and Broberg, these young guys, I'm excited about the future. But I don't think the playoffs this year are the future for the Blues.
No, I don't think so. The thing that most interests me, and if you had the answer to this question, you'd probably be on the bench and not talking to me right now, but it's amazing how they've not been able to sustain any type of success. Even bad teams go through good periods. And another example of that was their last win was that really good win against the Panthers at home. It was a fun game. It was a 5-4 win. It was back and forth. That's just if they would have been in playoff contention, that would have been such a great night at the arena, because that was such an entertaining game. And then they follow that up, losing at home to Columbus by a couple goals. Why do you think they've had such a hard time? So much has been made of them not winning, 3 in a row, but they cannot sustain any level of success.
Yeah, no, that is a good question, because even teams that are not good occasionally can string together 3 or 4 wins. That happens. But I think the Blues have just been very on brand for their level of play this year, meaning they're not playing like a great team. It's not great right now. And would they have to get lucky to win 4 or 5 games in a row? Yes. Have they been lucky? No. And they also haven't, up until recently, I think they did lose 5 games in a row, but up until recently, they hadn't really lost more than 3 games in a row. So they didn't go into a complete valley where they would lose 10 out of 11 games. They didn't have that. They would win a couple, win 1, lose 2, lose 3, win 1. And I think that more than anything is illustrative of the level at which this team is playing now. All of your top guys are kind of having, if you don't want to say career worst, but atypical, highly atypical seasons as far as lack of production on the forward lines. When you've got your top 3 highest paid players in Kyrou and Thomas and Buchnevich just not producing. I know at one point, a couple of games ago, Kyrou kicked it into gear and he started scoring, right? He had some points in a handful of games. And somebody said, he's playing out of his mind. No, he's not. He's playing how he should be playing as your top scorer, as your highest paid player. And so he had a few games like that, which was good to see, but he's having an atypical year. You look at a guy like Colton Parayko, he got the piano off his back with scoring that first goal of the season, but that's tough if you're not getting offense from your blue line, from a top defenseman. I would say the one guy that is putting together kind of a heck of a year is Justin Falk. He's playing well. For a while, he was the leading scorer on the team, which puts into perspective how much all your top guys, your forwards, were struggling. And the goaltending has been tough. Joel Hofer has really turned it around. Binnington, we know he's not up to form in the regular season. Let me say that he's not playing the way we know he can play. At the same time, the Blues have not been great in front of him at all. I do, as a side note, I expect Jordan Binnington to be nails in the Olympics. I think he steps up on the biggest stages. And so I'm not worried about him for the Olympics, which I know sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. But yeah, I think they're a middling team, which really they're at the bottom of the standings, but they're just like, there's not a true driving identity or driving force is what it feels like.
I would agree with that 100%. She is Amy Marks, of course. Again, you listen to her every day, 9 to noon. Chris and Amy show. You watch her on Matrix Midwest alongside of Chris Kerber with the Offside Hockey program. Amy, thanks for doing this. And next time we talk to you, we'll start looking towards the post-Olympic portion of the season.
It sounds good. Enjoy Florida.
Awesome. Very good. That's Amy Marks, of course, joining us on the show, and we appreciate her taking a few moments from us. What a bummer of a year for the Blues. And the one thing I'll say, and I'm not trying to be a jerk when I say this, it's going to kind of sound jerky, but I'm honestly, I'm saying it to me. There's other people who are with me, and you need to hear it as well. But I'm saying this to me because we did that thing for a while where they just weren't very good. They just weren't winning very many games. Their goal differential was terrible. And then you would look at the playoff standings and you go, well, they're only 5 points back. They're only 6 points back of a playoff spot. It doesn't really matter that there's so many teams between them and a playoff spot. They're a good week away from being right back in this thing if they can ever find it. And I said a version of that. Now I always included the idea that they hadn't shown any reason that why they would do that. But now we're at a point where we can't say that anymore. The Anaheim Ducks, they are, as it sits right now, the Ducks are the final playoff team in the Western Conference. They have 63 points. The Blues are the second to last team in the Western Conference in front of only Vancouver, and they have 49 points. So that is a difference of 14 points with 7 teams between them in a playoff spot. No longer can we do if they have a good week, they'll be right back in it. I'm talking to me. Maybe I'm talking to you. Maybe I'm not. But we no longer have to try to do that thing where we squint and find a way for things to look better. We're at a point now where we can just say they are who they are. There are some things that can be accomplished in the second half. You'd like to see some young guys, the Snuggaroos and the Dvorskys of the world, continue to play better and develop and all of that. But it's not going to happen this year for the Blues into the playoffs. We are going to take a break. We'll jump back into baseball. We're going to do nothing but baseball between now and 8 o'clock. In the 7 o'clock hour, by the way, and we may get zero response on this, and that's totally okay. But I do want to at least open it up for questions. If you've got questions about the spring training redevelopment of the complex, why some of this matters, maybe you listen to us talk about the technology and the different things that are being implemented, and you go, why does that matter? It's baseball. Why does it matter that there's Ethernet ports on every single batting cage that can connect to different types of computers and things? Like, why does that matter? Well, if you've got any question like that, we'll open up the phone line and the text line to take those type of questions coming up later on the program. But one more break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 1 of the program. It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
What if every time you spent money, you saved money too? With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union. Federally insured by NCUA.
2 St. Louis icons, 1 legendary tribute. Join the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra and St. Louis City SC at Powell Hall on Sunday, February 15th for Eternal, a tribute to Tina Turner. Presented by Purina, with performances by special guests including conductor Anthony Parthener, Grammy Award-winning artist Brittany Howard of Alabama Shakes, and our city's own Kennedy Homes. This is your chance to experience the ultimate journey through Tina's immortal catalog. Tickets are limited. Get yours now at slso.org.
Thank you, St. Louis, for making Genesis of St. Charles your most trusted and #1 Genesis dealer in Missouri for 2026. We know your time is valuable. That's why every purchase comes with 3 years of complimentary Genesis service valet. Unlock your e-price and save. That means complimentary vehicle pickup and delivery, plus a loaner vehicle at no additional cost. Or want something new? We'll bring the test drive to you. Visit genesisofstcharles.com today. Based on GMA sales records for 2025. See dealer for details.
Every spring brings promises, and every spring delivers surprises. This year, the Cardinals are writing a new story, and there will be plenty of surprises. Matt Pauley is in Jupiter with inside access to Camp Cardinals.
Presented by St. Louis Composting. Composting, growing gardens and making memories. And Happy Roof. We always create happy endings.
From breakout performances to roster revelations, get reports throughout the day on the voice of the Cardinals. KMOX.
It's tax time, y'all. If you want to file free, this next one's for you.
Now taxes is so free. Tax free edition only. Roughly 37% of filings qualify. Simple form 1040 returns only. Now this is tax.
Love that jam. Up next, commercials.
And to get TurboTax free edition, see if you qualify at turbotax.com/free. No schedules except for earned income tax credit, child tax credit, student loan interest, and Schedule 1A.
Breakfast burritos for the morning brainstorm. Easy Cater. Paninis for the lunch and learn. Easy Cater. Barbecue for the clients from Boston. Easy Cater. Brownie boxes and mini bundt cakes for Brenda's workiversary. Easy Cater. One simple platform to feed any size group with food they love from favorite restaurants, plus tools to help you meet dietary needs and stay on budget. Easy Cater. All the food for your workplace, all in one place. Start an order at easycater.com.
February is the month of love, and this year it's time to fall in love with your home again. Imagine warmer rooms, quieter mornings, and cozier spaces you actually enjoy spending time in. At Renewal by Andersen, we don't believe all windows are created equal. Our exclusive Fibrex material is stronger than vinyl, resists warping in extreme temperatures, and delivers superior insulation, helping your home stay comfortable, quiet, and energy efficient all winter long. That means fewer drafts, less outside noise, and a home that simply feels better. And because Renewal by Andersen handles everything, from custom design to professional installation, you get a seamless experience and results you'll love for years to come. Right now, for a limited time, buy one window or door and get one window or door 40% off. Plus, enjoy 18 months with no money down, no interest, and no payments. This February, give your home the upgrade it deserves. Call 877-WINDOWS or visit renewalbyandersen.com today.
Renew by Anderson. Superior products, exceptional service.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Starting to wrap up hour number 1 of the show as we continue to broadcast live from Jupiter, Florida, and Cardinals spring training. Next hour, we've got a guest that's at 7:20. Dan Zimborski is going to join us. And then when we wrap up with him, we'll open up the phone lines. So if you've got any general spring training questions for me, we'll open up the phone lines and the text line for you. So we'll do that at about 7:30 or so. So keep that in mind. If you missed the news of the day, the Cardinals did announce a trade. They pulled off a major league trade. Don't see a lot of those, especially with a rebuilding club, where a 1-for-1 of 2 guys who are on the 40-man roster. But that's what happened today as the Cardinals acquire right-handed pitcher George Soriano and trade with the Washington Nationals. They send out right-hand pitcher Andre Granillo. And Granillo last year really was a nice story. He put up huge numbers at AAA. He was closing out games. He was striking guys out. He finally forced his way onto the Major League roster. He made 14 appearances, 1-0 record, 4.71 ERA with 1 save. Thought he did a nice job from a personal standpoint. I enjoyed being around Granillo. Really good guy, nice guy to talk to. And stuff like that matters when you're somebody who covers the team and you're around them on an everyday. So I was a little bit sad to see Granillo go. This is obviously a trade where the Cardinals are trying to add upside, because Soriano is somebody who has a hard time controlling his pitches. He's somebody who his numbers 5.95 ERA over his major league career. He has the potential to really strike guys out. So if a team can get their hands on him and control his pitches a little bit more, this is somebody who can be a high upside reliever. You trade him away for somebody who you developed and had really blossomed. And I have to think the organization maybe feels like Granillo had gone as far as he was going to go. We'll find that out with the Nationals. A good thing for these two guys. Both these teams train in the Palm Beach area, so nobody has to change their accommodations here during spring. We'll get into hour number 2 after the 7 o'clock news. This is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX.
Want to hear a shocking statistic? Medical malpractice is the 3rd leading cause of death in America. Don't believe it? Google it. And that doesn't count serious injuries like birth injuries to perfectly healthy children. All doctors wear white jackets, but it doesn't make them all the same. Most medical errors are committed by the same quacks over and over again. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Many hospitals looking for more profits are forcing doctors and their groups to be employees of the hospital or be forced out of their system. It's a troubling trend in medicine. People make mistakes, but medical mistakes are huge and often forever. If you believe your child suffered a birth injury or a misdiagnosis or mistake led to a loved one's death or injury, let our team of medical malpractice lawyers examine your case for free. No recovery, no fee. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Are you turning 65 or new to Medicare? Humana knows not everyone has the same needs when picking a Medicare Advantage plan.
Now that I'm retired, I want to enjoy the life I've worked hard to build. So I want a plan that covers me when I'm traveling the country.
Humana has a plan for that.
As a veteran, I want a plan that fills in the gaps my VA coverage doesn't provide, like dental care.
Humana has a plan for that.
I feel good about my health. I just want care and coverage with predictable costs. No surprises.
Humana has a plan for that. With a Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you get coverage and benefits that focus on what matters most to you. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Can I take your coat?
Oh, you noticed? Yeah, I found it on eBay from a seller in Vegas. Pre-loved and perfect. She listed it and jackpot. Italian leather, classic trench silhouette. And did you see the braided buckle?
hang on to your claim ticket.
Oh, I'll hang on to this forever. Have you been on eBay? There's so many finds. And I bet that diving watch would sell fast. Just saying.
Find what you love, sell what you don't. eBay. Things people love.
Hey, Joy. Oh, you are glowing.
Oh, hey. More like Mira joyed that Miralax helped me go. I was so backed up. Tried mega coffees, prune juice, everything. Then Miralax. And hello, gentle relief without the harsh side effects.
Ooh, how does it work?
It works naturally with the water in your body for constipation relief. Find Miralax today at your local retailer.
Use as directed for occasional constipation.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Stacey Lynn. New photos and videos were released today showing a person in a ski mask and gloves on Nancy Guthrie's porch on the day she disappeared. CBS's Jonathan Vigliotti tells us he messed with her doorbell cam.
The FBI says Guthrie's Nest camera was disabled at 1:47 a.m. 41 minutes later, her pacemaker app disconnects from her phone, which was left behind along with a trail of blood.
Right after the footage was released, Savannah Guthrie reposted the images on her Instagram with a message saying, "We believe she is still alive. Bring her home." A congressional hearing is taking up the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Democrat Eric Swalwell questioned ICE acting director Todd Lyons.
God, I hope at least one person has been fired for their conduct since these operations have begun. Are you telling us you can't even say one person's been fired?
Sir, I'm not going to talk about personnel actions, but we will get back to you.
A teen girl says she was zip-tied by law enforcement during an October raid on a horse racing track in Idaho. Correspondent Matt Gutman is following the story.
I spoke to Suhey Tello. She's 14, probably around 5'1", 100 and some pounds. And she said that multiple agents forced her out of her car. She asked who they were, why they were detaining her. She says she didn't get a response. She says they threw her to the ground and we saw bruises, images of her bruising.
The raid was targeting an alleged illegal gambling ring. More than 300 American citizens and 100 undocumented immigrants were taken into custody. Newly unsealed documents tell us more about a raid on an election center in Fulton County, Georgia. Reporter Jake Rosen with details.
According to the affidavit, the Bureau is investigating potential violations of 2 criminal laws. One of those laws makes it a crime for election officials to intimidate voters and to deprive them of a fair election by submitting fraudulent ballots or voter registration applications, and the other law requires election officials to retain federal election records for 22 months.
New Russian strikes in Ukraine. Officials say 4 people were killed, a 34-year-old man along with 3 young children. A U.S. brokered peace deal to end the war is still ongoing, although the Kremlin says no date has been set yet for the next round of talks. A Super Bowl ad got a lot of reaction after claiming rich people live longer. So do they? CBS medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder says it's true.
Research shows that men in the top 1% of income live about 15 years longer than men in the bottom 1%. For women, it's about a 10-year gap. That's not a rounding error. That's an entire extra decade of life.
She says the ad isn't wrong about the problem, it's wrong about the solution. This is CBS News.
Follow and listen to CBS Mornings on the go on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
7:03 right now. The temperature's down to 50 degrees under a cloudy sky downtown at the Arch. Mizzou fans might have to say goodbye to Faurot Field at Memorial Stadium. The university announces it's actively seeking a corporate partner to buy the naming rights to the 100-year-old home of Tiger football. If a deal is reached, officials say the word Memorial will be removed from the stadium's name entirely. Athletic director Laird Veach calls the move an incredible opportunity to fund the program's future in the SEC. The search is part of the ongoing $250 million renovation project. A woman is dead after being shot at the drive-thru at the Starbucks in the 2300 block of South Grand.
St. Louis police say the suspect has not been arrested. Spokesman Mitch McCoy.
Other officers from our SWAT team and other members of the police department are in this area right now searching for a man who unleashed the gunfire this morning in a senseless act of violence. Right now, we are looking for a black man who is last seen walking away from the scene wearing a lime vest wearing a hard helmet.
Again, that is a lime-colored vest and hard hat helmet. McCoy says they are asking neighbors to check security video between 9 and 10:30 this morning. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
$1 million. $1 million presented to Backstoppers from Guns and Hoses today, roughly a third of the organization's budget. Executive Director Lieutenant Colonel Lawrence O'Toole says Backstoppers is right now helping 103 families.
We try to pay off the mortgages if there's a mortgage and make the families debt-free.
Backstoppers helps the families of fallen first responders. A Missouri Senate bill would develop and implement a Purple Alert system. It's sponsored by Republican Senator Jamie Berger of Scott County. He tells MissouriNet that a Purple Alert would be used to help locate missing people with developmental disabilities.
I think it would work. Just kind of would have to tie it into possibly the Amber Alert system. We really haven't gotten that far in the details yet, but it's just kind of on the cusp of starting.
Beyond finding missing people, Berger says the Purple Alert system would provide purple envelopes to high-functioning people with developmental disabilities containing information on their condition. The purpose would be to provide information to law enforcement officers who might encounter that person during a traffic stop or other situation that could trigger a confrontation. The forecast as we get into the overnight tonight, partly cloudy sky, low 32 degrees, right at freezing. For tomorrow, sunshine, a little bit cooler, high 50, right at freezing again tomorrow night, low 33. For Thursday, cloudy, high 47. Bit of a warm up for Friday with some sun and a high of 54. Right now, downtown at the Arch, it is 50. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
We are back at it as we get into hour number 2 of the program, taking you until 8 o'clock this evening. My name is Matt Pauley, coming your way from Jupiter, Florida, and Cardinals spring training. I want to bring Michael Calhoun back onto the show. You just back onto the station. You just heard him doing news. And Michael, it's one of those news stories that certainly has a sports connection to it. It's what you led off with, Mizzou Athletics, and they are doing everything they can right now to create as much revenue as possible just in this world that we're living in right now. I've talked to people who are season ticket holders for football, and the amount that tickets have gone up in recent years is remarkable. But another one of those things that they're doing as a way to create more money is the idea of naming rights for the football stadium, and that would take the word memorial off of it, and the memorial honors soldiers who I believe it was World War I, is the group that was being honored. So I guess you just reported on it. What's your takeaway on this? That two things can be true. Like they need to create revenue at the same time. Memorial being on that stadium means a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah, Mizzou football, especially trying to keep up when it comes to the SEC and these big programs that just are just money machines, and so. They're looking at that name Memorial. I thought it was interesting, Matt, because I don't think I've actually heard anybody in like casual conversation call it Memorial Stadium. It's Faurot Field, really, is what people call it. And so, taking a look at some of the biggest naming rights deals that are out there. I mean, you've got Kroger Field in why can't I remember the state, Kentucky, and but what's interesting is you've got Alaska Airlines Field at Husky Stadium. In Washington. So perhaps we could have, Gray Bar Stadium, Emerson Electric Stadium, Ameren Stadium, at Faurot Field potential. And you think about this could be a good opportunity for Mizzou beyond just the naming rights to really form a strong connection with the biggest media market in the state, the biggest business cluster in the state, the biggest, spot for fans, the biggest, recruiting pipeline, students going to Mizzou. I mean, St. Louis really should be really tight with Mizzou. And we've got so many more huge companies that are based here compared to Kansas City. That they've got a deep well to look into. I just actually got off the phone last hour with Patrick Rich, who runs the sports business program over at Washington University. He threw out Stiefel, for instance, as one of the companies. Energizer, they just took over Energizer Park, the naming rights there. That's a good example. Centene would be a good example. They did, they were in with the MLS, but they got out.
Yeah.
Edward
Centene
Jones
loves to hop in stuff and then hop right back out.
That is, yeah. I mean, think about University Healthcare, perhaps. Shelter Insurance is a Columbia-based, large company. That would be a real hometown get for them. We talk about Kroger Field in Kentucky. It could be Schnucks, perhaps. They've got 3 stores in the Columbia market. A lot of different different ways they could go. But yeah, Memorial refers to World War I, and I've seen a lot of posts talking about just this era where, we say, it happened 100 years ago. Who cares at this point? Let's just, put that name aside. And so there's just so much that goes into this. It's not simply, we built a new facility and now let's go out there and monetize it.
Yeah, and Mizzou has said they are planning on ways to honor those soldiers, in another way if they do take Memorial.
More than 100 Mizzou students died in World War I. They were students and they had to go to war, and more than 100 died. So that was and it was also one of the biggest, because there was a wave across the country after World War I of, designating memorials. And this was one of the biggest examples. I think it might have been the biggest example of a World War memorial in the country.
Yeah, I think you're right. Eli Drinkwitz this past year called out basically the largest corporations in the state of Missouri, and basically said the difference between Missouri and some other colleges across the country in terms of getting NIL money up and that sort of thing is that there's not as much of a buy-in. If you go to like the state of Alabama, or if you go to the state of Georgia and you see all the major corporations that are based there and the amount of money that they're donating and being involved in the universities in those states, he feels like in the state of Missouri that the largest corporations, many of them, have yet to get involved. So, Michael, maybe this is either the avenue to getting one more of those companies involved in Mizzou athletics, but also perhaps it's an avenue to, if you're involved in the discussions on the naming rights, even if you're not the company that gets it, maybe that opens up that discussion for some more of a relationship with athletics.
Yeah, that's a real interesting situation that Mizzou is in. And you think about Columbia, I mean, a lot of these other programs, if you're UT, for instance, and the Longhorns, like Austin is a major city in and of itself. And I feel like there's the strong, kind of triangle there with Austin and Houston and Dallas, and Columbia is right there in the middle, and they're kind of their own thing. And they say they're Missouri's football team. And it is interesting to take a look at some of the Fortune 1000 sized companies. And there are some that aren't, publicly traded like Enterprise, so they're not technically in the Fortune 1000, but they're that size. And for instance, Tampa's got 6 and 3 million people as population. St. Louis region has 23 and 2.8 million population. Charlotte's got 19, about the same population. San Antonio's got 8. Pittsburgh has 19. Cincinnati's got 9. Austin's only got 5 that are ultimately headquartered there. St. Louis, I mean, we punch above our weight in a lot of different things. We've got universities that are better than you would expect in a region this size, the cultural amenities. I mean, we talk about the zoo and everything all the time, but think about the number of companies, huge companies that we have based here. Mizzou needs to tap into that because, again, then you get into the hearts and minds of St. Louisans and they kind of adopt you and think of you. I mean, people list off City and the Cardinals and the Battlehawks and the Blues, but they don't add the Tigers to that list. And this could be one of the gateways to that.
I don't know if people mention the Battlehawks that much. They've got some work to do to be fun. But I mean, I guess City's been around just as long. So maybe we should talk about them too. But certainly, it's remarkable how the Cardinals are the thing that just trumps everything else. And I get reminded of that when I traveled yesterday, and just how you see nothing, even in a down period for the Cardinals, so many people just walking around this town are wearing Cardinal stuff. It's so much a part of our identity, and it's why the team needs to get good again, because we're all in a lesser mood, Michael, when the Cardinals are not in playing good baseball.
And how nice is it that the Cardinals have Anheuser-Busch paying them to call it Busch Stadium? That's an arrangement any team would love to have, because that's the legacy name for it. That is the Memorial Stadium name for it.
Yeah, look, and I was in Milwaukee when Miller took their name off of the ballpark there, and there's a lot of people in Milwaukee who still will not call it American Family Field. It is still Miller Park. And here's another thing. Speaking of that, did you know that they sell Anheuser-Busch products at Fiserv Forum where the Milwaukee Bucks play? They do not sell Miller products.
Really?
Yeah. Could you imagine walking into the Enterprise Center to watch a Blues game and saying, "Hey, I'll take a Coors over here, please"?
Well, that's like going into the Pepsi Center or Coors Field and like, sorry, we don't have that. You can get a Mick Ultra though.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I always remember I was at the Super Bowl in Atlanta, and I was going to my seats, and all the people who sold beer in the stands, like the hawker, they only sold Miller Coors products, whatever they were called at that time. I don't think Miller's Coors existed as an entity at that point, but it was either Miller or Coors products that they sold. If you wanted to get an AB product, you had to go to certain concession stands or certain bars. And I remember being at that Super Bowl and hearing the concession workers in the stands complain about the fact that they weren't going to make any money because all of these St. Louis fans won't drink anything but a Budweiser.
That's funny.
Yeah, it
Bud
was.
Heavy. They're like, what is a Bud Heavy?
No kidding. That's what they were complaining about. So, well, Michael, thank you for that. Always appreciate it, and we'll talk a little bit more here over the next few weeks.
Lots of speculation. Everybody think about what companies should be on that stadium.
Yeah, we'll see. What I guess you can, folks can maybe text into the program at 314-436-7900. What company, what Missouri-based, what St. Louis-based company would you like to see put their name upon the what is Memorial Stadium right now? And look, this is a little bit of a PR situation for the good folks at Mizzou, for sure, that they are taking the word memorial off if they're able to sell it. So hopefully they do come up with a good way to honor the fallen soldiers from World War I that were Mizzou students. We are going to take a break, and when we return, we're going to talk with our friend Dan Zimborski. He is a senior writer with Fangraphs, and we'll get his take on everything going on in the world of baseball and what he thinks we may see from the Cardinals this year. That's all coming up in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. You're locked into a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message data rates may apply or apply. Stop, opt out.
This is an important message for all parents of teens. If your teen or preteen is or has been addicted to social media sites such as Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, or YouTube, and they have suffered from eating disorders, body image issues, anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, you may be eligible to participate in a lawsuit for significant compensation. Disclosures by a Facebook whistleblower show Instagram and Facebook know their social media platforms were highly addictive and may have caused eating disorders, body image issues, depression, and suicidal ideation. It appears these social media companies knew they had been causing serious harm to kids, but have done little to stop it. If your teen has been harmed by social media like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, or YouTube, then you could be eligible for significant compensation. If you'd like to discuss a lawsuit, text LEVEL to 323232, LEVEL to 323232, LEVEL to 323232.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson, Media Advertising Specialists, LLC, is responsible for the content of this ad with principal offices in Chicago, Illinois.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Race to savings when you shop at Menards. Menards has all your floor covering needs covered. Transform the look of any room with self-adhesive vinyl tile from Armstrong. It's durable, versatile, and easy to install. Save big money on Armstrong self-adhesive vinyl tile through February 14th. View our weekly flyer on menards.com and race to savings on Armstrong vinyl tile happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
This is Megan Lynch. 250 doctors go to Ophthalmology Associates. That's why I trust them. Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking. Guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott St. Louis Westport in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
What if every time you spent money, you saved money too? With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union. Federally insured by NCUA.
Real estate investing isn't just about numbers. It can change your life. At Lifestyles Unlimited, we teach you how to invest in real estate with purpose, real-world strategy, and a focus on income you can build over time. Many of our members start to see how the right investment can create income, stability, and even improve communities. Join today for just $297, a 60% savings off the regular price. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
100 years, one legendary voice. We live KMOX's century of service, classic audio, photos, videos, and more at KMOX100.com.
Tonight is our first night doing this show from Jupiter, Florida, and we are going to be here essentially for the duration of Cardinals spring training. A lot of activity going on today at the facility. Tomorrow is the technical pitcher and catcher report day. First pitchers and catchers official workout going to be taking place on Thursday, but you wouldn't know it. There's a lot going on right now. We're happy to welcome back onto the program. He's a senior writer with Fangraphs. He is Dan Szymborski. You follow him on Twitter at @DZymborski. Dan, appreciate you taking some time. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Spring training's about to open. It was 60 degrees today instead of -11 like it was about a week and a half ago. So everything's looking up for the moment.
So Fangraphs right now, if you just go to fangraphs.com, there is very much a Cardinals feel to it. The top story is an interview with Cardinals assistant GM for player development and performance, Rob Serfolio. The top trending article right now is the Cardinals top 53 prospects, which were unveiled yesterday. So you just might as well call it like fangraphscardinals.com right now.
I don't know if we have that URL. We better get it quickly before someone puts up a scam site.
Oh, there you go. What is your takeaway on the organization of where it's at? Because obviously they've traded away a lot of all-star talent, but they've brought in a lot of exciting young prospects. As you take a look at those 53 prospects that were unveiled yesterday, there are a lot of names on there that have been acquired this offseason. How do you view what the Cardinals are trying to do right now?
Well, the Cards have a very deep farm system. Even the projections, which like different things than scouts do, also think that they have a very deep farm system. But it is a team that is in transition right now. They didn't, trumpet a fire sale the same way sometimes teams like the Marlins or the White Sox do. But that's kind of where they've been going, and it feels like the team has been in stasis for each few years. When the new regime the old regime was on its way out at some point in the near future, but it wasn't actually happening. It felt a lot like a lame duck scenario. And the last few seasons didn't feel particularly productive, I think, at least from a viewer who isn't necessarily, a local. So I like what the Cards are doing. I just think it is going to take, a year or two to really start to see them get there. I think that, if you're hoping for a playoff run in 2026, that's a little tough an ask, I think.
I don't know how familiar you are with this, but they redid much of the spring training facility. So I'm in Jupiter, and I just saw it for the first time today. They built up a couple brand new buildings. It looks completely different. The bigger thing here is they're able to take some of this technology and data and infrastructure that the organization had not had, and they're starting to implement it, and they've got kind of the buildings to go along with it. How important is it that not only are they getting some good young talent, but it feels like for the first time in a while, they're investing in what it takes to actually get these players to develop appropriately and maybe get them closer to the best version of themselves?
The technology race is an important one because every team is going to do it. And if you're not in that race, then some teams are going to simply have better information than you. And that's a bad place to be. You want to have, as good information as possible about players. There's a lot of information out there. The more you have, the more you can make a decision, whether it's scouting data or or StatCast type data or whatever kind of biomechanical data you have. So it is important to be there, especially because you can get more bang from the buck. Because for $8 million, you can buy a lot of pretty good tech. You can buy some pretty good researchers, or you can buy, one season of a 35-year-old first baseman or something. So there are priorities there, even if it isn't really as flashy, but these infrastructure improvements are important. The Dodgers, of course, spend a ton of money on players, but they also spend a lot of money on that infrastructure. And the more you can do, the more you're able to compete with them.
So a lot of Cardinals fans just look at what's going on right now, Dan. They think this team is about to have a season like they had in 2023, or maybe even worse than that. And I don't see it that way. And the most recent Zips projections update that came out had the Cardinals as the 4th place team in the NL Central with a projected record at 77-85. So nobody's hanging banners in St. Louis on a 77-win team, but that's also a far distance away from a completely non-compelling, completely non-competitive team. As you look at your Zips model, what does it like about the Cardinals that maybe actually projects it a little bit higher than a lot of other external predictors say they'll be?
Well, one benefit that the Cardinals have is the rotation, of course, isn't like a big highlight of the team, but it's fairly deep in okay-ish starters. I know that sounds kind of like an insult, but it keeps the wheels from falling off that apple cart, so to speak. The 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th starters in the Cardinals organization are not that different from like the 3rd, 4th, and 5th best. And while that's not great for if you want to make the playoffs, it does keep you from having that awful floor where all of a sudden you're looking at the Rockies and hoping to beat them out in the standings. So I don't think this team has a lot of real short-term upside when we talk 2026 only, but I think they have a fairly high floor. There is talent in the team. There are players with upside in the infield. I mean, even if you lose Brendan Donovan, there are some really interesting infielders. Even, someone who the predictions don't like Jordan Walker, does have upside remaining. So I think it's an interesting team, but it's going to be 500 middling rather than 100 loss bleak.
Yeah, and you're saying a lot of what you don't have Miles Michaelis, you don't have Eric Fetty, and if Andre Palante's in the rotation, it means he beat out 3 other guys. So there's a pretty good chance he's going to look better than what he looked in the second half of the season. Almost by default, your starting pitching is going to be better for the reasons that I just mentioned. At the same time, Dan, I don't know how this team is going to score runs. It's going to require a Jordan Walker or Nolan Gorman or somebody like that, or multiple guys like that, to really take big steps forward. And those are the questions that we're all asking in St. Louis, whether or not those guys can get closer to what we thought they were going to be as they were coming up through the minor leagues.
Yeah, I think the offense isn't going to score a ton of runs, but I think they'll be in that acceptable to meh range.
Respectable to meh. I'll remember. I'll remember that line for sure. Hey, just to stepping away from the Cardinals for a second. Today's been a really rough day in terms of injuries across Major League Baseball, and there's been a handful of guys that are either going to miss the entire season, or like an Anthony Santander, they're saying 5 to 6 months, so that's almost the entire season. Maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment, but for basically being the first day of spring training, the number of guys who are basically going to miss the entire season seems to be pretty high.
Yeah, it sounds like me. I always got injured before I had to run. I was never a good runner. But yeah, it's been a rough day. You have Chris Bryant is going to start the season on the injured list, and there's no hope that his back's doing any better. Spencer Schwellenbach's on the injured list. Shane Bieber's going to open the season on the injured list for sure. I hope that we get this is the flurry of injuries and won't be until we have new ones for a while.
Yeah, I hope so as well. And the other side of this is we never really know how the WBC is going to impact things, where a bunch of the WBC pitchers and catchers have already reported to their respective camps. Just anecdotally, what do you notice anything that is especially, I don't know, notable when in these WBC years, whether it has to do with production, whether it has to do with injuries, what maybe can be expected on a year like this?
I don't think it's a huge factor simply because realistically, the players who were in the WBC, they were going to be playing in games anyway. They weren't going to be like me sitting in my computer chair doing things throughout. They were going to be playing baseball games during March, no matter what happened. So I don't think it's that big a deal. Obviously, the WBC feels like higher stakes, but I also think that teams and players are cognizant of that because nobody wants to no one wants Tommy John surgery after an outing in the WBC. And frankly, I love the WBC. It's good for baseball. It's one of the things that's worth it. I think that it's much better than like the All-Star game if you're talking risks. And it's one of those things that Rob Manfred hasn't figured out how to break yet, which I'm kind of impressed by.
Just give them time. Just give them time. We'll see what happens down the line. Before we get you out of here, I think this is a really important time, and I'm not trying to tell Cardinals fans how to be fans, but we are at a point right now with a Chaim Bloom being in charge and somebody like Rob Cerfolio, who I mentioned earlier. There's an interview with him up at Fangraphs. We're at a time right now where the Cardinals are getting back into the modern age in terms of how they view players, how they make decisions, and a resource like Fangraphs is absolutely awesome, and it can help people learn what's going on. So without me like just going on and on and on about Fangraphs, can you kind of give a plug for what you guys have going on there, and maybe even why it's smart for folks to become a Fangraphs member? Because I don't know if there's ever a better time for a Cardinals fan to start diving in on some of the stuff you guys have at the site.
See, I'm always bad at the plugs, but Fangraphs is the largest independent baseball site on the web that does daily analysis of things. We have 14 full-time employees who are paid industry standards. Nobody works for exposure at Fangraphs, even people who just do little contributions here and there. We hope that the Fangraphs experience is good for people, and the ad-free experience is very good, and we put everything back into the product. Every year, we have more and more stats. We're going to have more StatCast leaderboards this year with data that we had to pay MLB for to be able to have it on our site. No one gives us anything for free. We have to pay things. So if you want to become a member, we would greatly appreciate it.
Very, very good. What's the schedule in terms of Zips projections between now and the start of the regular season?
Well, the team-by-team rundowns are complete for the time being, where you get to see all the players. But I'm going to have the Zips Top 100 prospects as part of our prospect week in the next week. I'm going to have some, updated standings as rosters fill out more. And then I also do, starting last year, I started doing post-spring training Zips update, which involves me having 2 computers running for 3 days to get that done because it's a time-consuming computational experience, and I'm not a great coder to make it more efficient. So there's always some Zip stuff coming up. There's always some Fangraphs stuff coming up. We try to always have something going on.
Dan Szymborski, senior writer for Fangraphs, join us. Thanks so much for taking the time, and hopefully we'll catch up with you again down the line very soon.
Thanks for having me as always.
You bet. That is Dan Szymborski joining us here on the program. All right, so here's where we're at. This is what I wanted to do today because today's our first day broadcasting down here. If you've got some questions, and maybe they're about the Cardinals in general, or maybe they are about the spring training facility, which looks very, very different, I would encourage you to right now is kind of that chance to get those questions in. So you can call or text 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900, or you can tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air. For those of you who are watching the video stream, we welcome in your questions there. And if you've got any questions, this is the question and answer portion of a Gray Bar Sports Open Line, as we will indeed open up those lines, and we'll do that coming up in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. You're locked into a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
For 100 years, you've welcomed KMOX into your cars, your kitchens, and your daily routines.
You've trusted us through breaking news, championship celebrations, and the stories that shaped our city.
You've listened during moments of joy and leaned on us when times were uncertain.
From overnight shifts to early mornings, from one generation to the next, you made KMOX part of your life.
From everyone at KMOX, thank you, St. Louis, for 100 unforgettable years.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey, and I think right now we all need something to look forward to, and a nice little getaway is going to do it for me. So I've been looking at this 5-day Arizona trip that I planned in September, and to me, it sounds absolutely perfect, and I would love for you to join me. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to stay in Flagstaff because that means cooler temperatures. It's a great home base, and from there, we're going to visit Sedona, the Grand Canyon, and Lake Powell all in one trip. I'm talking about red rocks, big views, and that deep blue water at Lake Powell that looks like a postcard. I'm told September is one of the best times to go with fewer crowds, more comfortable weather, and everything's going to be planned out for us. We just show up. If this sounds like something you'd like to do, please join me because I have always wanted to go to the Grand Canyon. Travelwithdebbie.net. That's travelwithdebbie.net or call Cruise and Tour at 800-383-3131. Space is limited, so don't delay. 800-383-3131. Travelwithdebbie.net.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
There's no championship league for small business owners, but if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation, one-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Here in St. Louis, we take pride in supporting our health and our community. That's why more and more families are turning to Neovitin multivitamins, created by a local physician and made right here in the U.S. using the highest quality domestic and international ingredients. With formulas for men, women, and adults 50 plus, Neovitin helps keep St. Louis families energized, supported, and ready for life. Find Neovitin at your local Dierbergs, Schnucks, and online at neovitin.com. Neovitin, trusted nutrition from St. Louis for St. Louis.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley. I'm in Jupiter, Florida, covering Cardinal spring training as the Redbirds get ready for a new season.
Listen for Matt's Reports Daily. Sponsored by St. Louis Composting and Happy Roof on the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Back at it on KMOX, it is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line. My name is Matt Pauley, taking you for another about 25 minutes or so. We've got our Gas House Gang replay beginning at 8 o'clock. You'll get a little bit more of me as I'll be on the first segment of the Gas House Gang every day from here through the end of spring training. And so I'm on with Ronj and Bernie. You'll hear that whole entire conversation coming up again just after the 8 o'clock news. 314-436-7900. 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. You can tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air. You can leave a comment on the video stream as well. One quick note, by the way, for those of you who are coming down here to Jupiter and you come down before the games get started because you want to go to the backfields and go back to the quad, I've mentioned this a few times. Essentially, the complex is still a construction zone. Again, this will only apply to people who kind of come back, but just keep this in the back of your mind. You're not going to be able to get into the facility the way you normally do from the Cardinal side. You're actually going to have to walk in through the Marlin side and make your way in as the construction is still going on the Cardinal side. And a lot of those entryways have been essentially closed down for this offseason. All right, let's go to the phones and start to talk to some people who have some questions about the Cardinals. We'll go to Rick, who's given us a call. Hey, Rick, you're on Sports Open Line.
Hey, thanks, Matt, for taking my call. I just had a quick question about Roger Dean itself. As a fan, I've been down 15 years in a row or so to Roger Dean. Am I going to notice any difference when I walk in this year than I have in previous years?
Yeah, and I haven't been in there yet, so I can't totally comment on this, but this is what I've been told. There is one of the biggest things is there's a new team store that's essentially 4 times the size of the old team store. I believe that's going to be out in right field. They've got some new premium sitting areas that are being put on the outfield. There's new ribbon boards. I believe there's a new video screen, new scoreboard as well. So it got a pretty solid facelift. Last year they did some things. They moved the fences in. That was part of phase 1. And here in phase 2, they've done a fair amount of cosmetic work on the ballpark to make it look different.
Well, that was much needed. As you know, I've been to other ballparks, like ballpark at the Palm Beaches and up to Port St. Lucie to see the Mets. So it was time, and I'm glad to hear that it's at least in progress, if not near completion.
Yeah, and they're still working on that. Rick, certainly appreciate the phone call. They are still working on things there, and that's an important part of it. There's a lot of people who just want to come down and watch games, and being able to go to the ballpark and get the best ballpark experience is important. And as much as I love Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium, I do think in many ways it was starting to show its age, and we were able to we're going to be able to see some changes here moving forward. Got a message on the video stream that says Yadi being hired gives me hope in a positive way on the Cardinals in 2026. If Chaim Bloom didn't hire Yadi, I would still be worried about the Cardinals' success in 2026. Goes on to say, I just don't trust in Oliver Marmol, Dusty Blake, and Brant Brown by themselves. Yadi will educate Oliver Marmol, Dusty Blake, and Brant Brown on being a better coach. Appreciate your message, and you say a lot of nice things to me on the stream all the time, and I certainly appreciate that. I would push back on you just a little bit here. I think Yadi coming back to the organization and having whatever role that he has is a really, really good thing. In no way, shape, or form do I want to be dismissive of the positive impact that he can have. Just having those eyes and the way that he views the game, it's a really important thing. And I'm glad that he's going to be back. To think that his presence, his part-time presence, he's busy and involved with the WBC team right now. We don't know if he's going to show his face during spring training. When he joins the team, it's probably going to be, kind of helicopters in here, helicopters in there. I would respectfully say to you that I think you are overstating the impact that he is going to have on this team. And honestly, in terms of just going through the job of being a manager, Oliver Marmol's going to teach Yadi more than it can go in the other direction. There is a lot of things that a manager does on an everyday basis, and Yadi wants to be a major league manager. We know that. And just him being able to be around the team like he was a little bit last year, I think it's going to be good. I think you're being dismissive of a lot of people who are very good at their jobs. I think Oliver Marmol is good at his job. I think that Dusty Blake is good at his job. I think Brant Brown is good at his job. You are only as good as the palette that you have to work with. And the Cardinals palette over the last couple of years, and what I mean by that is the players that were made available to them on the roster, it just hasn't been good enough. And it may not be good enough this year either. Oliver Marmol looked like a pretty darn good manager in 2022 when he had a very good team to be able to manage. And he probably wasn't as good of a manager then as he is now. So you're not going to hear me being dismissive of him, and just this is a really good thing that Yadi's coming back into the organization. I'm happy for that. He's going to make some things better, but to say that he's going to have this profound impact because he's able to pop in every once in a while, I would push back. And I don't like pushing back on that because it makes me sound like I'm being dismissive of somebody who I respect so much in Yadier Molina. And I think it's going to be really, really good for him. And if you listen to my conversation that I had with Benji Molina on the Countdown to Opening Day show. Was that last Thursday? It's all running together at this point. No, that was 2 Thursdays ago when we had Benji on. I asked him very directly about what kind of impact Yachty can have on this organization being more involved. And he listed all the different things that he feels like how Yachty's going to impact the team. So I know Benji's very confident that his brother is going to be able to help the team. And, who am I to not be agreeable to that? So we'll see. I think whether we like Ollie or don't like Ollie, I think we can all kind of agree that it's a good spot for this Cardinals team to be in, having him back in the fold. And it's really good for him to get this opportunity because he put it out there last year that he was interested in a full-time coaching role or a full-time managerial job in Major League Baseball. And as far as I know, he didn't get that opportunity to interview with the team. Now, if Albert takes one of those managerial jobs, if he ends up with the Angels or with the Padres, the two teams he was closest to maybe getting a job with, perhaps he brings Yachty with him as a bench coach or doing something else, and that gets him a little bit closer. But it just feels right that Yachty is part of the Cardinals organization officially once again, and we'll see what that's going to look like moving forward. But appreciate the question and the optimism about this team going through. 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. If you want to call or text, you can do that, or you can tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air as we do continue through the program before we get done for the night. Just sort of a programming note for you. We'll do this show again coming up tomorrow night here on our normal schedule. And then on Thursday, Mike Claiborne and myself, we're going to have our first edition of the Countdown to Opening Day show completely based here in Jupiter. And we're working on a few things for Thursday's show that I think you're going to be excited about. So it gets a lot more fun when we get to this point because, one of the things I enjoy, tomorrow morning is going to be the first morning where the Cardinals clubhouse is open. And with all due respect to the time that we get with players in season, and for those of you who don't know how it works, when the season's going on, we get 50 or 55 minutes of the clubhouse being open before the game every day. And Cardinals players are great. Like, this is not me putting them down at all. But when you're into the grind of the season, there's just a lot going on, and they're being asked a lot of them on an everyday basis. There's meetings that they have to go to. There's early work to get to. There's team stretch, and they don't coordinate like the media time in the clubhouse to all the other stuff going on, which is fine. They shouldn't coordinate it to that. But we don't get as much kind of one-on-one time, and we don't get as much of an opportunity to kind of, dive in a little bit deeper with guys when the season gets started. So that's one of my favorite things about spring is every single day we've got the clubhouse open. There's just a handful of people like me that are here, and we've got an opportunity to have conversations and get to know guys, and we'll record many of those conversations and bring them to you on Thursday nights during the Countdown to Opening Day show. And that will start from here in Jupiter coming up on Thursday night. So hopefully you will be tuned in for that, and we look forward to being able to bring it to you. 314-436-7900. Again, that's how you call. That's how you text. You can tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air. We'll take one more break. We'll come back and we will wrap up this edition of the program. You're locked in. It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Make dinner, not reservations. Kenrick's Meat Market's complete Valentine's Day meal, including premium steak, side, salad, and dessert. Cook your perfect steak at home, all for only $59.99. Mention KMOX and receive a free bottle of wine, only at Kenrick's Meat Market.
Every spring brings promises, and every spring delivers surprises. This year, the Cardinals are writing a new story, and there'll be plenty of surprises. Matt Pauley is in Jupiter with inside access to Camp Cardinals.
Presented by St. Louis Composting. Composting, growing gardens and making memories. And Happy Roof. We always create happy endings.
From breakout performances to roster revelations, get reports throughout the day on the voice of the Cardinals.
KMOX.
Start your day with an edge.
Total Information AM.
It's like breakfast for your brain.
I wake up, I turn on the news.
I got to listen 3 or 4 times every day.
Debbie Monterey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman.
I like to wake up with the news.
Total Information AM.
It's where I get my news. Traffic conditions and potential weather that's coming.
Total Information AM. Weekdays 5 to 9.
I like to turn it on and just get caught up.
Where I get my news. The news, weather, and traffic.
On the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message data rates may apply or apply. Stop, opt out.
This is an important message for all parents of teens. If your teen or preteen is or has been addicted to social media sites such as Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, or YouTube, and they have suffered from eating disorders, body image issues, anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, you may be eligible to participate in a lawsuit for significant compensation. Disclosures by a Facebook whistleblower show Instagram and Facebook know their social media platforms were highly addictive and may have caused eating disorders, body image issues, depression, and suicidal ideation. It appears these social media companies knew they had been causing serious harm to kids, but have done little to stop it. If your teen has been harmed by social media like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, or YouTube, then you could be eligible for significant compensation. If you'd like to discuss a lawsuit, text LEVEL to 323232, LEVEL to 323232, LEVEL to 323232.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson, Media Advertising Specialists, LLC, is responsible for the content of this ad with principal offices in Chicago, Illinois.
Hey, this is Charlie Brennan. If it's cold outside, the team at Morelli Tuck Pointing is still busy. During colder months, Morelli can inspect any exposed brick inside your house. If your basement has a stone or black wall, Morelli can remove the worn-out mortar from that wall and replace it with new mortar. This tuck pointing work will reinforce your foundation, prevent water from entering your home, and thwart pests. This is a great time to get the inside of your garage inspected, and the same goes for your brick or stone fireplace. I've used Morelli Tuck Pointing to repair the chimneys, walkways, and walls of 2 homes here in St. Louis. The Morelli bids are fair, their crews are super polite, and they clean their job sites. Don't take my word for it. Check out the reviews on Google. Winner of the BBB Torch Award and the Next Door Neighbor Fave Award, 35 years in business, an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau, 314-645-1387, MorelliTuckPointing.com.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Just a few minutes left on this edition of the program, continuing to broadcast from Jupiter, Florida. Cardinals spring training. Tomorrow is the official pitchers and catchers report date. We will hear from Oliver Marmol for a first time tomorrow. I chatted with him for just a couple minutes earlier today when I was walking around the complex and ran into him, but we'll be able to talk to him officially coming up tomorrow. We'll play back that audio. One of the things that we like to do here on the show, it's actually generally around this time. Most nights around 7:30 or so, we are going to play back much of what Oliver Marmol says on an everyday basis. So you're not going to get that from any other radio station in the St. Louis area. So if you want to hear the daily comments from Ollie and other folks at some point, maybe it's going to be tomorrow, maybe it'll be later on in the week. We'll talk to Hein Bloom for a first time here in spring. But those are going to be voices that you hear a lot here on KMOX and on Sports Open Line. And I always say it, like, we try to bring you the best possible coverage of spring training. And a big part of that is it's not cheap to send me and to send Tom down here. Just the support that we get from our advertisers and everybody else, it's a big deal. So we hope that you get something out of what we're bringing to you from an everyday basis. Kyle Sixta's back in our KMOX studios. Kyle, I don't lift up the Cincinnati Reds very often. I like to beat up on the Cincinnati Reds and the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's one of my favorite things to do when talking about baseball, because I don't think those are two teams that overly try hard to win. I think the Reds have come a little bit off that list following their hiring of Terry Francona. But generally speaking, I don't talk very positively about the Reds and Pirates very often. But I'm going to change my tune, and the pun is there. The Reds are starting a brass band, and the brass band is going to play all Friday and Saturday home games. They put out an ad asking people to apply to be in the brass band. So my question to you, would you like the Cardinals to have some sort of band that plays a handful of games each year?
That's a good question. I did see this online as well, Matt, and I think it's a fun idea. I'd like to see it in practice first. I'd like to see how it sounds during the course of a Friday and Saturday regular season game before I would say I want the Cardinals to do it. But I certainly think it's fun. I mean, maybe not that it gives like a college atmosphere, but I mean, you watch college football and you hear the bands, and it just adds something to the watchability and just the atmosphere of the games. So I'm definitely interested, Matt. I don't know if I would want the Cards to do it yet, but it's interesting.
I guess you make a good point. When are they playing? Is it just pregame and then between a handful of innings? Because a lot of those in between innings stuff are sponsored elements. They're not dropping those. They like cash and paychecks as much as anybody. So they're not playing during the game. Like when game action is happening, the brass band is not going to be playing, I would assume. So how they actually get implemented, I'll be interested to see.
You don't think they're going to be playing during the game? Is that a big no-no, you think?
I don't think Major League remember how big of a deal it was when the NBA started to sample music in the middle of gameplay? I think it was like the Dallas Mavericks under Mark Cuban that really started to do that. And it wasn't like that long ago. I think it was less than 10 years ago that they started to do that. I don't think Major League Baseball would go for a brass band playing as the game is going on.
You may be right. And I know it's not, Major League Baseball, but in the World Baseball Classic, and I get it's different, but you see music and you see cool atmospheres in the stands. So I don't know. I feel like the possibility is there of it being cool.
One of my bucket list items is to go down to the Dominican Republic in the winter and go watch some of those Dominican Winter League games. I hear that the atmosphere for those games is absolutely crazy and, almost like a soccer type environment. Maybe we don't live in the right part of the country, but like during college football season, you watch those HBCU games and they've got the bands that are just, some people show up to those games for the bands, not for the football. Maybe the Cardinals could do like an HBCU style band at some point.
That would be pretty cool. And if you do go to one of those games, please take me with you.
The Dominican ones?
Yeah.
That's a bucket list item for you as well.
I don't know if I'd say bucket list, but now that you say it, I want to go.
Yeah, I talk to people who play winter ball, and whether it's in the Dominican or whether it's in Venezuela, and I'm probably not wanting to travel to Venezuela anytime soon, but I would have no problem traveling to the Dominican Republic, and I would love to go watch some of those games. So yeah, maybe at some point in the future, I'll find my way to the DR and watch some baseball during the winter, and that would be a lot of fun. That is just about going to do it for the program tonight. Again, coming up as always, we have our Gas House Gang replay. That's going to begin just after the 8:00 news with Michael. You'll get a little bit more of me. I join the guys, Ron and Bernie, for the first segment of that. So that's going to be coming up. And again, we're going to be here every night. So as news breaks, today there was the trade with the Cardinals acquiring George Soriano. As news happens, as things happen here in Jupiter, we'll be with you to bring you all the details essentially as it is happening. Thanks so much for being tuned in to the program tonight, and look forward to talking to you tomorrow for more coverage of Cardinals spring training right here on KMOX.
Oh, could this vintage store be